Chapter 898. The light gradually dissipated, and the altar of the Covenant floated into Captain Don't Shoot's hands. At the same time, everyone received a system notification. Your party has cleared the Guild quest, Land of Hidden Treasures, and completed the S-rank quest, Archaic Covenant. Guild Point Sword in the Sky has leveled up to level 5. You have obtained EXP, you have obtained money. After a long list of rewards appeared, another notification appeared above everyone's heads. System announcement. Through unremitting efforts, Guild Point Sword in the Sky has leveled up to peak. As the first maxed-out guild in Rebirth, their heroic deeds will forever be recorded in the history book. System announcement. Archaic Covenant has been activated. City War has been activated. For more information, please visit Rebirth's official website. The two system notifications appeared 3 times in a row. When the leaders of the major guilds saw this, they could not help but fall into a daze. Point Sword in the Sky? Where did this guild come from? They actually completed the Archaic Covenant? In the headquarters of China's number 1 guild, 9 States Empire, 3 Mountains 5 Peaks looked at the system notification with a face full of disbelief. The Archaic Covenant was not a hidden quest. Instead, after a guild was leveled up to level 4, the guild manager in the guild hall could accept S-rank guild quests. Generally speaking, group quests such as guild quests were much more difficult than solo quests. This was especially true for S-rank quests. It should be known that it was not easy to level up a level 4 guild. You either had to spend a large amount of money to buy guild contribution points, or you had to complete the quest by chance. At this stage, most guilds were still at the initial level 3. There were very few level 4 guilds, and most of them were the top guilds. The Archaic Covenant was a guild quest exclusive to level 4 guilds. Naturally, Point Sword in the Sky was not the only guild that could accept it. However, with so many top guilds unable to complete it, the difficulty of the quest was obvious. Of course, Chuanjin was also a level 4 guild. However, these fellows rarely visited the guild encampment. They had probably forgotten that there was a guild manager in the encampment. If a similarly famous, large-scale guild had completed this quest, 3 Mountains 5 Peaks would not have been so surprised. However, it was actually a small guild that he had never heard of. This was a little difficult for him to accept. Although this new mode of the game had created quite a few new experts, the majority of resources in the game were still in the hands of the big guild. As the saying goes, people walk towards the top. No expert would refuse a high salary and large amounts of resources to bury themselves in a small, unknown guild. At this moment, 5 Lakes 4 Seas recovered from his shock. After hearing 3 Mountains 5 Peaks words, he thought for a moment and said, "Sword Pointing the Heavens is a new guild." During the closed beta, when everyone was around level 20, they once obtained the first kill of a level 40 boss. The guild's boss told the party leader not to shoot. "I heard that he's a super rich 2nd generation." Rich 2nd generation? After hearing what 5 Lakes and 4 Seas said, 3 Mountains 5 Peaks mood eased a little. Meow, players with money had always been an undefeatable existence in the game. Not only were these guys rich, but they were also willful. It was not uncommon for them to hire a few pro players to help them level up. It was understandable that they could recruit a group of pro players to help them complete quests. You said that he obtained the first kill of a level 40 boss when he was level 20? Which boss? 3 Mountains 5 Peaks thought for a moment and asked. Ertis. 5 Lakes 4 Seas said. 3 Mountains 5 Peaks was slightly stunned. This boss sounds quite familiar. Which city is it from? 5 Lakes 4 Seas said. It's Yu Huiqing's. Yu Huiqing. Could it be Chuanjin? When he heard the name Yu Huiqing, 3 Mountains 5 Peaks immediately thought of the small group that was the first to take down the guild's base. He couldn't help but cry out. Chuanjin? No way. If they had the ability to complete the Archaic Alliance quest, they could just complete it themselves. Why would they help others? 5 Lakes 4 Seas didn't agree with 3 Mountains 5 Peaks analysis. From his perspective, there was no reason for Chuanjin to help others complete quests. After all, Chuanjin and Sword in the Sky were guilds in the same city. Not to mention the fact that completing quests was more beneficial to their own guild. Helping other guilds complete quests was the same as increasing their opponent's strength. 3 Mountains 5 Peaks laughed. Looks like you haven't experienced the 3 Evils Manor incident. You don't understand Chuanjin's group. Oh. 5 Lakes 4 Seas was stunned. He expressed that he wanted to hear more. 3 Mountains 5 Peaks said, "Do you know that these guys are famous experts? However, they have never had more than 10 people." Never had more than 10 people? No wonder. So it's because their guild level isn't high enough. When 5 Lakes 4 Seas heard this, he instantly understood. He thought that since Chuanjin was the first to take down the guild's base, they were already a level 4 guild. Who knew that Chuanjin only had so few people? How could it be a level 4 guild? That's not entirely true. 3 Mountains 5 Peaks said, "Those people are very greedy. As long as the price is high enough, they won't hesitate to help others complete quests even if their guild level is high enough." F***ck There are such people? Then what game are they playing? They would work for their competitors for the sake of benefit. 5 Lakes 4 Seas couldn't understand the logic behind this. 3 Mountains 5 Peaks laughed. Although these people are greedy and don't have the heart to fight for supremacy, they play games for fun. This is a group of people who really know how to play. After saying that, 3 Mountains 5 Peaks sighed and said, "Sigh, this group of wild horses could have been subdued back then. It's a pity for 3 Evils Manor." 5 Lakes 4 Seas was a little dazed when he heard this. It couldn't be helped. Swallows and sparrows didn't know the ambitions of swans. Similarly, how could swans know the joy of swallows and sparrows? It was normal that 5 Lakes 4 Seas didn't understand Chuanjin's thoughts. While the leaders of all the guilds in the world were guessing how Finger of the Heavens completed the quest, Quanjin's friend list was about to explode from people who knew about it. The other people in Quanjin were fine. Aside from Chuanjin's people, they didn't have many good friends. If they encountered those who were long-winded, they would just blacklist them. Wang Yu was different. This person had a lot of friends, and his typing speed was slow. After being bombarded by so many people, he was flustered and sweating. "Nyogu, isn't Finger of the Heavens you Huichings? Don't tell me you're the one who helped them complete the quest." This was from Rolling Mario. Smart. Wang Yu casually replied. "Loner. Nyogu, help me find out what good stuff Finger of the Heavens got. I'm willing to pay a high price for it." Wang Yu. Chapter 899. Old Cow, you guys are so unkind. You actually helped the captain not shoot that kid while he was doing the Archaic Covenant mission. Seeing Blood Red Warflag's message, Wang Yu didn't want to talk to him anymore. Damn, the captain is the unkind one. Please don't shoot, it has nothing to do with me. But because they were friends, Wang Yu still replied, "We didn't know what the mission was at first." Blood Red War Flag immediately replied with a smile, "You guys have already helped Finger Sword in the Sky. With our relationship, you guys can't not help me." Hearing Blood Red War Flag's words, Wang Yu was in a difficult position. Wang Yu was an honest person. He would definitely help his friends if he could, but Wang Yu couldn't guarantee that he would help the other people in Chuanjin. Blood Red War Flag thought that Wang Yu wasn't willing to help for free and quickly said, "Don't worry, you guys will definitely be paid. You have to find Wuji for this. He is the president," Wang Yu reminded Blood Red War Flag. Although it didn't matter who was the president of Chuanjin, Wuji was the boss in name. Everyone trusted him. No matter how ignorant Wang Yu was, he wouldn't overstep his bounds for Wuji. Blood Red War Flag was depressed. Wuji just blacklisted me. Wang Yu was speechless. Did Blood Red War Flag look for you? Wuji walked over and asked. He looked for you because you blacklisted him, Wang Yu explained. Humph, Wuji laughed. I blacklisted him because he was bullshitting me. When it comes to finding people to do things, you are much easier to talk to than me. Why would he look for me directly? Then should I agree? Wang Yu asked. Wuji waved his hand. Leave him alone. Don't let him play tricks in front of me. Wang Yu wiped his sweat. What kind of people were these presidents? Wang Yu did not know who the other guild leaders were, but Wang Yu knew that Captain Don't Shoot was definitely a tycoon. After exiting the dungeon, Captain Don't Shoot held the hands of the Chuanjian members one by one. His gratitude was indescribable. Bosses, if it weren't for you guys, we wouldn't have been able to complete today's quest. No matter what, you guys have to celebrate with us today, the party leader Don't Shoot said excitedly. Wuji, who always liked to take advantage of others, said, Since we've taken someone's money, it's our duty to help them out. Right now, we still have other things to do. I think the leader should go celebrate with his guild members, not us. The team leader knew that Wuji was not the kind of person who would decline a gift. Moreover, he was eager to share the joy with his brothers, so he did not insist. Seeing that the Chuanjian people were not interested in celebrating with him, he personally used a teleportation scroll to send the Chuanjian people back to Yuhuiqing. After returning to the guild office, the Chuanjian people began to divide the loot. The Chuanjian people could be said to have gained a lot from this dungeon. Apart from obtaining equipment and skills for Wang Yu and the others, they also extorted a large sum of gold coins from the party leader Don't Shoot. The gold coin reserves of Finger the Heavens were very likely to be depleted from this dungeon. However, it was still very profitable to use this money to exchange for a dark gold guild treasure, Finger the Heavens. Of course, Chuanjian did not lose out. After all, special tools like guild treasures were only useful to certain groups. The two parties could be considered to have taken what they needed. After the gold coins were distributed, everyone was overjoyed. Just as everyone was about to leave to do some shopping, Wuji waved his hand and said, Why are you running? There's still something that hasn't been distributed. What is it? When everyone heard this, they hurriedly stopped. Old cow, take out your treasure chest, Wuji said to Wang Yu. How do we split this? Smash it and split the gold evenly? Wang Yu looked at the treasure chest in his hand in confusion. This treasure chest should be made of black gold. After smashing it, everyone would get a few pieces each. Hee hee. Wuji laughed mischievously. He took Wang Yu's chest and slapped the bottom of the chest. A large pile of dolls fell out. This huge pile of dolls directly filled the table. There were at least a few hundred of them. Sealed Believer of the Past. Magic tool. Can summon Believer of the Past to battle. These are actually the monsters from the dungeon. When everyone saw the attributes of the dolls, they could not help but be shocked. They did not expect the sealed treasure chest to have such a function. Everyone knew that the price of magic tools wasn't low. Although these reborn believers weren't powerful bosses, there were so many of them that it was still a huge fortune. They didn't think that the party leader would spend so much money to capture these monsters, but they would be cheated in such a way. Wuji said, There are a total of 240 sealed dolls. Those who did not obtain any equipment or skills from the dungeon just now, you guys can split these toys evenly. It seems that old dog Wuji is not heartless. Hearing Wuji's words, the few people who did not obtain anything from the dungeon just now showed expressions of joy. Although magic tools were expensive, they had obtained 2 godly equipment and 4 skill books from the dungeon. They were all priceless items. Although there was still a gap between them, they were all brothers. There was no need to be too calculative. 6 people, 40 each. Split, split, split. Mingdu shouted as he reached out to grab the dolls on the table. At this moment, Wuji took out his staff and hit Mingdu's hand. What are you doing? Are you going back on your word? Mingdu stared angrily at Wuji. Wuji said, There is no share for you. Gram. Why? Mingdu felt wronged. The others were also puzzled. Just now, Mingdu did not obtain anything good and was even played by the boss. Humph humph. Wuji sneered. You can hide it from others, but can you hide it from me? Although there is nothing good in the treasure-seeking goblin's bag, didn't you take that bag? If you want these dolls, you have to hand over the bag. Hee hee. Hearing Wuji say this, Mingdu laughed. He pointed at the dolls on the table and said, You guys split it, you guys split it. I don't want it, okay? Everyone split the dolls on the table. Spring sighed. I didn't think that after this quest was completed, we would directly start a city war. It's much earlier than I thought. Wuji replied, Yes, from now on, all the main cities will belong to the players. This might not be a bad thing for us. What exactly is a city war? Wang Yu, who was beside him, asked curiously. As a new player, Wang Yu did not know much about the game. Even in Rebirth, Wang Yu only knew how to kill monsters and loot equipment. He didn't know much else. This, Wuji smiled and said, Someone will personally explain it to you soon. Really? Wang Yu scratched his head in confusion. At this moment, there was a knock on the office door. Chapter 900. Aya, isn't this Boss Blood Flag? What's wrong with you? Seeing Blood Red War Flag barge in, Wuji's face was calm as he asked a question he already knew the answer to. Blood Red War Flag saw Wuji and immediately said with a bitter face, Boss Wuji, are we still friends? What are you talking about? Of course. Wuji smiled. Then why did you help Finger Heavenly Sword with the Archaic Alliance? Blood Red War Flag's face was bitter. The conflict between Blood Red War Flag and Finger Heavenly Sword could not be explained in a few words. Almost everyone in Yu Huiqing knew that these two big guilds did not get along. As Yu Huiqing's boss, Chuanjin, of course, knew about it. As the saying went, an enemy of a friend was an enemy. Putting aside the fact that the Quan Zhen sect had once clashed with Finger to the Heavens, just based on their relationship with the Blood Alliance, helping Finger to the Heavens pass the Archaic Alliance Treaty was a little unkind. Haha, don't worry. Wuji waved his hand and explained, It's just a quest. Don't you know us, Chuanjin? They're giving us money, so there's no reason not to accept it. I don't care. You have to help me once. Blood Red War Flag began to act shamelessly. Help you with the Archaic Alliance too? Wuji asked with a smile. The Archaic Alliance is a one-time quest. Finger Heavenly Sword has passed, so this quest is long gone. Then what do you want to do? Wuji asked again. I want to be a civil servant. Blood Red War Flag clenched his fist. Hearing Blood Red War Flag's words, everyone could not help but laugh. If you want to be a civil servant, go take the exam. What's the point of looking for us? Just stop playing games. Blood Red War Flag hurriedly explained, Not in real life. I'm talking about Yu Huiqing's civil servant. Oh, so that's it. You want to suppress Finger Heavenly Sword in the city war? Hearing Blood Red War Flag's words, everyone understood. Only Wang Yu was puzzled and asked, Is the main city's civil servant related to the city war? Only civil servants are qualified to participate in the city war. Blood Red War Flag explained to Wang Yu. After the city war system was activated, the leaders of the major guilds would be recruited to manage the city. Under normal circumstances, the city lord would issue a series of quests to these guilds, and then distribute the authority according to the guild's ability to complete the quests. Guilds that obtained jurisdiction over a main city would control the tax rates of all shops in their respective regions. At the same time, as the city's managers, these guilds' greatest obligation was to protect their own main city's sovereignty. Of course, if they had the ability to attack other main cities, they would be able to control more tax revenue. To put it simply, whoever had the bigger fist could collect protection fees in the game. Other than tax revenue, the manager in the main city also had many privileges. There was no need to list them one by one. In any case, there were many benefits and they were basically the same as a local tyrant. The prerequisite for all of this was to pass the quests given by the city lord and become a manager. After Blood Red War Flag's explanation, Wang Yu finally understood what the city war system was all about. Then, Wang Yu asked Blood Red War Flag, with your guild's ability, you should have a share in the management of the main city, right? Although Finger Heavenly Sword had poached a group of experts from Blood Alliance, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. After all, Blood Alliance was an old guild and had a strong foundation. Blood Red War Flag should be able to become an official. Blood Red War Flag said gloomily, don't mention it. There are huge differences between districts. Not all are the same. There is only one good district. Every city had its prosperous and backward side, and the main city in the game was no exception. Take Yu Huiqing for example. Central Street was a district with many shops. It was extremely prosperous and the tax revenue was very high. On the other hand, the West District was a slum area. A fruit stall would not be able to make much money. The distribution of the district was decided by the city lord. It would be fine if it was in the district, but if it was in the West District, who could they complain to? You're such a big guild and you're afraid that you don't have enough power to manage the best district? Wang Yu asked in disbelief. Sigh. Don't Shoot sighed and said, didn't you just help Finger Heavenly Sword complete the Archaic Alliance Treaty? There are also the guild treasures. We don't have the advantage in numbers. I see. Wang Yu finally understood. So Blood Red War Flag was eyeing the management rights of the district. However, Finger Heavenly Sword had just completed the Archaic Alliance Treaty and had the guild treasures. If they were to compete in strength, Blood Red War Flag did not have enough confidence. You want us to help you deal with Finger Heavenly Sword? Wang Yu held Blood Red War Flag. No. Blood Red War Flag smiled and said, I just want you to help me get the contract for the district. Don't worry about the money. I won't shortchange you. We're brothers. What do you guys think? Wang Yu asked Wuji. Leader Don't Shoot was quite honest with Chuanjin. He had just helped them complete a quest and now he wanted to cause trouble. This was something that Wang Yu couldn't accept. Do you even need to ask? Of course we'll help. After all, Blood Red Alliance is our friend. Wuji said with a serious expression. Boss Wuji. Blood Red War Flag's eyes were filled with tears. Wuji added, Finger Heaven's Sword has given us quite a lot of money. Are we being dishonest here? Don't worry, I'll pay double how much Finger Heavenly Sword gave you. Wuji chuckled. Then I'll have to thank Brother Battle Flag. Let's go. Although being a main city manager was a lucrative job, he was still a civil servant. The city lord's trial wasn't much easier than the national examination in real life. The location to accept the quest was the administrative hall of the city lord's residence. When Blood Red War Flag and Chuanjin arrived, the entrance was already filled with people. Looking at the crowded city lord's residence, everyone was in a daze. Didn't the city war system just start? Why are there so many people here to accept the quest? Blood Red War Flag said, the city war system just started and everyone received the city lord's notice. Strike first and gain the upper hand. We can't just pick up the leftovers. City lord's notice? Is there one? Everyone asked Wuji. Since there was a notice, why didn't Wuji mention it? How many people do you have? Wuji ignored everyone and asked Blood Red War Flag. Level 4 Guild, 1,000 people. Blood Red War Flag said. Everyone was enlightened. In the system's judgment, the number of people in a guild and the guild's rating were the basic attributes to evaluate a guild. The guilds that the city lord notified were all big guilds with enough people. No matter how strong Chuanjin was, with just 20 people, they didn't have the right to take on the heavy responsibility of protecting the main city. Yu Huiqing, most people recognized Blood Red War Flag and Chuanjin. No one dared to block their path. Thus, everyone walked straight to the city lord's residence without any obstruction. The city lord's residence guard blocked everyone with his spear and said, "Everyone can only bring 2 followers into the city lord's residence." Chapter 901. Follower 2. When they heard the guard say this, everyone in Chuanjian was slightly stunned. Damn, they were the masters that Blood Red War Flag hired with a high price. How did they become Blood Red War Flag's followers? It was fine if they had followers, but they could only follow 2 people. If anyone volunteered to follow them, they would be acting like a coward. When they thought of this, everyone in Chuanjian stopped in their track. Wang Yu was easygoing and generous. He would not get angry at a brainless soldier. When he heard the guard's words, Wang Yu quickly turned around and asked everyone, "Only 2 people. Who wants to go?" The people in Chuanjian were used to being masters and did not give others a reason to be followers. They all said that whoever wanted to go could go, but they would not go. When Blood Red War Flag heard this, they immediately panicked and said anxiously, "Boss Wuji, we already agreed on this. How can you go back on your word?" Wuji was helpless. He pointed at Wang Yu and said, "Old cow, are you going?" "Of course." Wang Yu nodded. Keeping one's word was worth its weight in gold. That was the basic quality of a martial artist. "All right." Wuji pointed at the people in Chuanjian and said, "You can choose anyone in our guild. If they don't go with you, just beat them to death." Damn it, who didn't know that Wang Yu was a ruthless person who could kill bosses even with low HP? Wuji, this useless healer, would most likely not go with them. The others were more or less useful, but Wuji, this bastard, was basically taking himself out of the picture. Damn it, Wuji, you old dog. The people in Chuanjian were not stupid. When they heard this, they naturally saw that Wuji was cunning. However, no one dared to offend Wang Yu. They could only curse in their hearts and turn their heads to look at the scenery. Wang Yu did not stand on ceremony. He pointed at Wuji and said, "Then you come with me." "Me? Damn it, old cow, you still need a healer?" Wuji was shocked when he heard this. Wang Yu smiled. "No, I can use your brain." As a super martial artist, Wang Yu knew how to play to one's strengths and avoid one's weaknesses. When it came to fighting, Wang Yu was naturally fearless. However, when it came to coming up with sinister ideas, Wang Yu and Wuji were too far apart. "Don't mind me. Even if you're in there, I can still give you ideas," Wuji explained. On the other hand, the people of the Chuanjian sect were jeering at the side. How can watching the fire from the other side compare to experiencing it yourself? "Old cow, if he dares to not go, just beat him to death." Wuji was furious. F***CKU. Of course, no matter how tough Wuji's mouth was, it was not as tough as Wang Yu's fist. Under Wang Yu's tyranny, Wuji could only yield and follow Blood Red War Flag into the Castellan's mansion. Inside the Castellan's mansion, Yu Huiqing and all the bosses of the big guilds were gathered there. Behind them were their trusted aides. Even Don't Shoot and Big Bear, who had just cleared the dungeon with Chuanjian, did not go to celebrate the completion of the quest with the players of their own guild. Instead, they took advantage of the time when Chuanjian's group was dividing the spoils to come to the Castellan's mansion. As the city war system was directly connected to the Archaic Alliance, Don't Shoot and the others, who had completed the Archaic Alliance, sat next to Castellan Yu Huiqing and were receiving their commendations. Seeing Don't Shoot and the Castellan talking and laughing, Blood Red War Flag's eyes turned red with jealousy. If it were not for the guards around them, Blood Red War Flag would have probably stabbed them. "Huh? Brother Iron Ox? You're here too." Just as everyone was impatiently watching sword points to the Heaven's Commendation ceremony, a clear voice came from behind them. Wang Yu turned his head and saw an assassin looking at him from behind. Although the assassin's voice was clear, it was hard to tell if she was a man or a woman. "You're that something book?" Wang Yu immediately had an impression of the assassin's appearance. He had seen a lot of assassins, but she was the only one with a chest as flat as a man's. 1-page book, the assassin reminded him. Oh, right. When did you come to Yu Huiqing? Wang Yu asked curiously. He remembered that this girl was not one of Yu Huiqing's people. 1-page book's answer was very casual. The world is big, and the 4 seas are my home. You have a point. Wang Yu nodded. It was a game, after all. Which main city didn't have a place to play? Apart from a few big guilds that had a base, many players were just wandering around the world. Who are these two? At that moment, Wang Yu suddenly felt a burning gaze on him. He hurriedly looked in that direction and saw 2 girls following behind 1-page book. The 2 girls were staring at him with their arms crossed, their eyes shining brightly. Our guild leader and vice-guild leader look at the snow in summer and flowers in winter, 1-page book introduced. Heh, that's an interesting name. Wang Yu laughed when he heard this. Players these days really had a lot of imagination. Hello. Wang Yu greeted the 2 girls politely. Hello, God Ironok. The 2 girls' eyes were still burning with passion. Wang Yu couldn't stand the stares any longer. He whispered to 1-page book, can you not let them look at me like that? 1-page book smiled and sent a message to the 2 girls. The 2 girls blushed and hurriedly looked away. Wu Ji, who was at the side, saw Wang Yu chatting passionately with the 3 girls. His gaze immediately became the same as blood-red war flags. He said unhappily, a person with a brain full of muscles is quite popular. Women who advocate violence clearly have primitive, instinctive genes. Who is this? 1-page book saw that Wu Ji's words were full of gunpowder and couldn't help but whisper to Wang Yu, Who is this? Wang Yu said, Wu Ji, our guild leader of Chuanjin. Chuanjin's reputation wasn't very good, be it in Yu Huiqing or in the gaming circle. 1-page book was also a straightforward girl. After hearing Wang Yu's introduction, she immediately blurted out, He's the gangster leader? Wu Ji was speechless. No wonder no one liked him even though he was so handsome. It turned out that the trash of Chuanjin made his name so stinky. 1-page book also knew that she had said something wrong. She immediately smiled awkwardly at Wu Ji and said, Sorry, that's what others said. I never thought that way. Only God knew if this girl was telling the truth or not. So you're the legendary boss of Wu Ji. When the 2 girls heard that the person in front of them was Wu Ji, they weren't afraid of this famous gangster leader. Instead, they pounced on him. Happiness comes so suddenly. Old cow, I love you. Surrounded by the 2 girls, Wu Ji immediately burst into tears. It's me, it's me. The arrogant Wu Ji immediately showed his true colors when he saw the girls. He nodded and bowed like a human's best friend. 1-page book said excitedly, I've heard about you for a long time. You're very familiar with Iron Ox, right? Does he have a girlfriend? Can you give me his phone number in real life? F***CKU. Wu Ji glared at Wang Yu fiercely and whispered, Can we change the topic? 1-page book said, I heard that you and a guy called Bao San from Chuanjin are a couple. Is that true? F***CK off. Wu Ji finally broke down. What's going on? Why do women nowadays have such vulgar interests? Chapter 902. As expected, he's as fierce as the legends say. The 2 ladies were so frightened by Wu Ji's roar that their faces turned pale. They hurriedly hid behind a page of a book. 1-page reached out and blocked Wu Ji. The dagger in his hand emitted a burning flame. His face was full of caution towards this legendary gangster leader. Wu Ji was speechless. What kind of people were these? While they were chatting and laughing, the mayor had already completed the reward for Finger Heavenly Sword. After Captain Don't Shoot and the others received their rewards, the mayor's gaze finally fell on the bosses of the other guilds. Looking at the group of experts below, the mayor cleared his throat and said with a serious expression, Distinguished citizens, it's great that you received my summons and came. Mayor, you're too polite. It's our duty to serve you. Captain Don't Shoot heard this and flattered him. The mayor was also an intelligent NPC with extremely high AI. Don't Shoot smiled after being flattered by Captain Don't Shoot. When the bosses below the stage saw this, they all blamed themselves. Looking at the mayor's expression, it seemed that Captain Don't Shoot's impression of him had increased by a lot. If they knew this would happen, they would have said the same thing. Blood Red War Flag said disdainfully, "Look at that son of a bitch. I look down on him." "You're looking down on him for stealing your flattery, right?" Wuji narrowed his eyes. Just now, when the Castellan was speaking, Wuji clearly saw that the Blood Red War Flag was hesitating to speak. Blood Red War Flag was speechless. "What flattery? This is a strategy, Old Flag. When you retire, come to Chuanjin. I feel like you're becoming more and more like one of us." Wuji sighed. "Really? Boss Wuji, you're too kind." Blood Red War Flag didn't hear that Wuji was calling him shameless. He thought that Wuji was praising him. At this time, the city lord spoke again. "I don't know when it started, but this world has become more and more chaotic. I'm already old, and I can no longer handle the current world. I hope that one of you can help me manage Yu Huiqing." These people were overjoyed when they heard this. Here came the main topic. As expected, the aged city lord needed an assistant to help him manage Yu Huiqing. This was exactly what everyone wanted. Just as everyone was about to express their sincerity, the city lord continued, "To move unhindered my entire life, but I have no heirs. Yu Huiqing cannot be without a leader for even a day, so I also want to find someone from Yu Huiqing who can bear this responsibility." Hua! The moment the city lord said this, the guild leaders below burst into an uproar. The city lord didn't just want to find an assistant. From the meaning of the girl's words, it was obvious that he wanted to find a new city lord. That was interesting. The city lord was the official with the highest administrative power in a main city. Within his jurisdiction, no one could be more powerful than him. In addition to the privileges of the main city's taxes and the main city's fiefdom, there were many more powerful privileges. For example, the most powerful NPC soldiers in the game world were under the command of the city lord. Of course, no one knew if the player city lord had this right. Hearing this news, Blood Red War Flag immediately lost interest in the management of the administrative district. No matter how powerful the administrative district was, it still belonged to the city lord. "Boss Wuji, if I can become the city lord, it will be good for Chuanjin," Blood Red War Flag immediately promised Wuji. "The city lord is not easy to deal with. Look at how old the city lord is." Wuji frowned. Don't be fooled by the city lord saying that he was old. From his appearance, it was not difficult to see that the city lord was only 40 or 50 years old. He was in the prime of his life, and was still a few years away from retirement. The so-called finding an heir was most likely a big pie thrown out to him. 4 or 5 years in the game was different from reality. By that time, the players would have already maxed out. So even if there was a quest to find an heir to the city lord, it was not something that the players could do at this stage. "Well, what you said makes sense." Blood Red War Flag nodded. "My requirements are not high. No matter which administrative district I can get this time, as long as I'm better than that B*TCH, Captain Don't Shoot." It seemed that Blood Red War Flag hated Captain Don't Shoot. His conditions were also aimed at Captain Don't Shoot. "I'll try my best," Wuji said after thinking for a while. Because Point Finger the Heavens had completed the Archaic Covenant, Captain Don't Shoot's image had far surpassed that of the other guild leaders. If they wanted to take the best administrative district from him, they could not just rely on strength. "How about it? Is everyone willing to help me?" Seeing that no one answered, the city lord asked again. Captain Don't Shoot answered again. "As long as the city lord and the people need us, we are willing to give up our youth." Yes, that's what we think too." The other bosses expressed their opinions one after another. What a joke. No one was unwilling to do this. Everyone wanted to be the only one who could bear the responsibility. Seeing everyone's reaction, the city lord nodded in satisfaction. Alright, I've prepared 3 trial quests. After everyone passes them, according to the completion rate, you will receive a part of Yu Huicheng's administrative authority. After the city lord finished speaking, everyone received a system notification. You have accepted the trial quest, City Lord's Trial. The first round is Eliminate the Bandits. Quest Rank A. Quest Background. The Sunset Bandits that had been destroyed have gathered again and resurrected their leader, Erdis, through sorcery. For the sake of the people of Yu Huicheng, I hope that everyone will pick up their weapons and go to the Sunset Lair in the Sunset Valley to eliminate them. The guild that eliminates the bandits the fastest will receive a special reward. The top 15 guilds will qualify for the next round of the trial. Quest Requirement. Erdis's Head 0/1 Quest Restriction. The maximum number of people in the party is 3. So it's Erdis. D*MN, can so many of us kill him? Seeing the quest description, Wang Yu could not help but be happy. This Erdis could be considered an old friend of Wang Yu. Wang Yu alone had killed him twice. However, ever since Chuanzhen occupied the Sunset Valley, Erdis had not respawned. There were at least 20 guild bosses in the City Lord's Hall. Could there be dozens of Erdis spawning in the Sunset Valley? Wuji said, I don't see the Sunset Lair. It should be an instance dungeon. Oh, no wonder. Wang Yu suddenly understood. If it was an instance dungeon, then it was easy to say. Everyone could kill their own. There was nothing wrong with that. It was just that the 15th and lower guilds would be eliminated. At this moment, the party leader, Don't Shoot, suddenly wondered, Esteemed City Lord, why didn't I receive the quest? The City Lord said, You completed the Archaic Covenant. I believe that you have the strength. You don't need to participate in this round of the trial. Thank you for your kindness, City Lord. The party leader, Don't Shoot, thanked him cheerfully. The others panicked. Originally, there were only 15 spots. Now that there was a predetermined spot, the competition had increased by a notch. Thinking of this, everyone stopped wasting time and hurriedly left the City Lord's mansion. Chapter 903. Since the number of slots was limited, it was naturally better to act as quickly as possible. If it was a guild like Finger the Heavens that didn't lack money, they would definitely tear a teleportation scroll and fly over. However, teleportation scrolls were extremely rare items. In Afterglow City, these items had already been monopolized by Blood Alliance and Finger the Heavens. Since everyone couldn't fly, they could only rely on their legs. After exiting the mayor's mansion, a portion of the wealthy players summoned their mounts and headed straight for the city gate. The other players behind them were envious. Although the mount system was already available in the game, mounts were still a rarity at this stage of the game. The cheapest little yellow horse, which increased movement speed by 10%, cost nearly 1,000 gold coins each. As for the more advanced ones, they were even more expensive. Currently, only expert players could afford them. Even among the people from the Chuanzhen sect, Wang Yu was the only one who had a mount, Qinggong. The game was directly linked to reality. One could see the difference between players' levels just from the means of transportation. The most powerful tycoons could take a plane. Those who couldn't afford a plane could drive a car. Normal middle-class players were still stuck at the stage of running. Seeing everyone leave, Blood Red War Flag calmly took out a scroll and wanted to teleport over. However, it was stopped by Wuji. Scrolls are free. Give me 500 gold and I can send you to the dungeon entrance. Each scroll was worth thousands of gold. The stingy Blood Red War Flag was going all out now that they were using scrolls for such a short distance. Blood Red War Flag froze. Only then did they remember that Sunset Valley was at the entrance of Chuanzhen's camp. They could teleport there directly. After exiting the mayor's mansion, the 3 of them were about to teleport when they saw Pagebook and 2 other girls run out. These girls belonged to the type that was quite pitiful. Pagebook was still okay. He was an expert player and had a hidden subclass. Not only had he done quests with the Lone Ranger before, but he also had a faction dungeon. He definitely didn't lack money. He had gotten himself a valuable white horse a long time ago. However, Summer Snow Watcher and Winter Flower Watcher were doing quite poorly. They were guild leaders, but they were running behind one-page book's horse. Those who didn't know better would think that they were one-page book's followers. Seeing that Wang Yu and the others weren't teleporting or riding horses, Yi Yeshu asked curiously, "You guys are running too? Do you want to join us?" Wuji invited Yi Yeshu enthusiastically. Without waiting for a page to reply, Xia Tian Jianxue said warily, "What do you want to do? Are you trying to kidnap us?" "Damn you!" Wuji was speechless and choked with sobs. It seemed that Xuanzhen's image as a bandit was deeply ingrained in the minds of the players. It would be difficult to change their image in a short time. Seeing that Wuji was being doubted, Wang Yu explained from the side, "We teleported you all the way." The two girls' eyes lit up. "Wow, Iron Ox is so considerate. Damn, there's no justice in this." Blood Red War Flag saw that Wang Yu, a murderer who was feared by many in Yu Huiqing, was praised for being considerate. They hugged each other and cried together with Wuji. "What's wrong with them?" The girls were curious as to why the two men were crying. Wang Yu wiped his sweat. Maybe they were too excited to see a girl with them. Thanks to Wang Yu and the others, Summer Snow and Summer Snow teleported to Sunset Valley as fast as they could, even though they didn't have a mount. The Sunset Lair dungeon was at the entrance of Xuanzhen's encampment. This made the girl sigh again. As the saying went, birds of a feather flocked together. Xuanzhen was indeed a gangster organization. They were neighbors with these bandits. Sunset Lair was a 3-person dungeon. It seemed like the system had deliberately set a limit to prevent players from cheating. After all, players had been tricked by NPCs too many times. They had all learned to be cautious. The system had countermeasures, and the players had countermeasures. Although the quest was limited to 3 people, the players could call for a few hundred people to attack the boss first and let the last 3 kill it. The effect was the same. Now that only 3 people were allowed to enter the dungeon, this situation was avoided. Because of the teleportation, the 2 teams were now far ahead of the others. They smiled at each other and entered the dungeon in front of them. Sunset Lair was not a high-level dungeon. It was a level 35 dungeon. The system was not so cheap as to make 3 players go to an advanced dungeon. The monsters in the dungeon were mostly elite monsters like Sunset Gangsters. They were not too difficult to deal with for level 45 players, but for experts like Wang Yu, it was like cutting melons and vegetables. Wang Yu and the others brandished their weapons, fighting as they ran forward. The 3 of them were like powerful bulldozers, carving out a bloody path and pushing towards the boss Ertis. Ertis was still the same Ertis from before. He was tall and strong, wearing heavy armor. He held a large, gold-threaded sword in his hand and sat majestically on his seat. However, this guy's heavy armor was engraved with magic runes. At the same time, there was a circle of stitches around his neck. It turned out that this guy's head had been directly sewn on. This setting made Wang Yu sigh. He did not expect the medical standards in the game to be so high. Even a severed head could be reattached. Demonized Ertis, level 45, Dark Gold Boss, Elite, HP, 3000000 MP, 20,000 skills, Collapsing Mountain, Earth Splitter, Whirlwind / Bloodthirsty Rage innate ability. Demonization background introduction. After Ertis' death, the Sunset Bandits were unable to recover. In order to restore the bandits' former glory, the bandits paid a high price to hire a cultist to resurrect Ertis. After the resurrection, Ertis had incredible strength. Ertis did not look at Wang Yu and the others when he saw them. Instead, he sat there calmly with a large sword in his hand, giving off a strong sense of oppression. "Hey, we meet again." Although he knew that Ertis did not remember him, Wang Yu could not help but greet him when he saw this old friend. Urtus, who was sitting calmly on his seat, raised his head when he heard the greeting. When he saw Wang Yu's face, he said in surprise, "It's you again?" Seeing that Urtus still recognized him, Wang Yu and Wuji could not help but be stunned. This guy was clearly an elite boss. Why did he have such a high AI? Could it be that he had evolved? Blood Red War Flag looked at Wang Yu with even more shock. What did it mean to be awesome? This was it. Even the boss of a quest dungeon was so familiar with him. Who would have the face to do this? "You still recognize me?" Wang Yu asked curiously. "Of course I know you." Urtus stood up and waved his long sword. With a cold expression, he said, "I have died once. Nothing else matters to me. I was resurrected because of you." Chapter 904. Hearing the conversation between the two, Blood Red War Flag began to doubt life. This was the first time he had seen a boss interact with a player like this. Weren't bosses meant to be farmed by players? Why was he holding a grudge? The number of bosses that Wang Yu had killed was endless. If they were all like Urtus, it would be terrible. Therefore, it was not just Blood Red War Flag. Even Wang Yu was puzzled. Resurrect for me? What kind of logic is that? Humph, as a warrior, I will not allow myself to die in your hands in humiliation, Urtus shouted angrily. Indeed, Urtus's heavy armor had been difficult for Wang Yu's attacks to break through. In the end, Wang Yu had only managed to kill Urtus with Mingdu's help. At that time, Wang Yu's victory was not very honorable. It seemed that Urtus was not satisfied with his defeat. Wang Yu smiled and said, "So that's how it is. It must have been hard on you." Seeing Urtus risk his life for him, Wang Yu could not bear it. "As long as I can defeat you, I am willing to pay any price," Urtus said coldly. As soon as Urtus finished speaking, Wang Yu and the others suddenly received a quest notification. System notification. A member of your team has triggered the hidden storyline Warrior's Revenge. Quest rank A+. Do you accept? Notification. If you accept the hidden storyline, the dungeon difficulty will increase. If you do not accept, the dungeon difficulty will remain unchanged. Hidden storyline? Blood Red War Flag was stunned. In the end, he turned to seek Wang Yu's opinion and said, "Old cow, do you accept it?" Although the hidden storyline was something that could not be sought, the condition that the dungeon difficulty would increase after accepting the quest made Blood Red War Flag a little hesitant. After all, this was a special time. Everything should be done quickly. According to Blood Red War Flag, they would definitely not accept the quest. However, the protagonist was obviously Wang Yu. No matter how bold Blood Red War Flag was, they would not dare to influence Wang Yu's thoughts. Wang Yu glanced at the quest window and asked Urtus, "Will you die in peace if you fight me again?" Urtus said, "As long as it's fair, I will die without regrets." "Alright." Wang Yu nodded and said to Urtus, "I also respect you as a warrior. This time, I don't need to help you. I'll accept your challenge." "Old cow, you have to think about it. The difficulty of the instance dungeon will increase." Seeing that Wang Yu had agreed, Blood Red War Flag panicked. Wang Yu said, "I know, but I'm also a warrior." Urtus was an NPC, but he still had the resolve of a warrior. As a human, how could he fall behind? This, alright. Seeing Wang Yu express his stance, Blood Red War Flag did not dare to disobey Wang Yu even though it was a little reluctant. It could only accept it. System notification. You have accepted the hidden quest, Warrior's Revenge. Quest rank A+. Mission background. The warrior Urtus found it hard to sleep after his death. All he wanted was to have a fair battle with the person who killed him. Mission objective. Defeat Urtus single-handedly 0-1. The number of challengers cannot be greater than 1. Mission hint. In order to maintain fairness, Urtus will unlock his true strength. When everyone received the quest, a black light burst out from Urso's body. A look of enjoyment appeared on Urso's face. True, demonized Urtus LV45, Dark Gold Boss, Epic HP, 5000000 MP, 200000 skills, warrior mastery, bloodthirsty rampage innate abilities, demonization background introduction. Urtus is a swordsman who shakes the Northwest. The 3,000 bandits under him have committed all sorts of atrocities. Over the past few decades, countless experts have come to annihilate him, but all of them have died under his blade. F***CK. Seeing Urtus's current attributes, the three were shocked. Meow. They did not expect that this high-level boss, which was said to be the easiest for Yu Huiqing to kill, would have such an identity. Moreover, it was an epic boss. It was no wonder that Lord Yu Huiqing had not been able to annihilate it after so many years. However, when they thought about it, under normal circumstances, only extremely powerful bosses would have a name. As a boss with a name, Urtus would definitely not be as weak as he seemed. Ha ha ha! Seeing Wang Yu's surprised expression, Urtus laughed and said, "How is it? Are you afraid after seeing my true strength?" "It's all right," Wang Yu said, "but I forgot to say something just now." "What is it?" Urtus asked. Wang Yu said calmly, "It's not humiliating for you to lose to me. You dare look down on me? Cut the crap. Watch my blade." Urtus flew into a rage when he heard that. He swung the long blade in his hand and slashed at Wang Yu's head. Although Urtus was a strength-type boss, the speed of his blade was extremely fast. Moreover, it was imposing, as if it could split the earth. Facing the huge blade that was slashing at him, Wang Yu jumped to the side lightly. Urtus's long blade slashed the ground. Boom! With a loud sound, a deep trench was slashed on the ground by Urtus's blade. Blood-red war flag could not help but wipe the cold sweat off its forehead. With such destructive power, it was impossible to survive a single slash. Horizontal slash. Urtus's blade slashed the air. Then, he grabbed the long blade with both hands and swung it to the right. He turned his body and slashed at Wang Yu. As Wang Yu retreated to dodge, he narrowed his eyes and stared at the long blade in Urtus's hand. At the same time, he switched the weapon in his hand to a long rod. Urtus was tall. The long blade in his hand was similar to a long weapon. As the saying went, an inch longer was an inch stronger. Only the long rod was not at a disadvantage when facing Urtus's long blade. Charge! Urtus's horizontal slash slashed the air again. He retracted the blade with both hands, lowered his head, and charged at Wang Yu. Seeing that Urtus had used charge, Wang Yu smiled and calmly rolled a few meters to the side. Then, he turned around and pushed the long rod behind him. Smack! Wang Yu's long rod struck Urso's temple without any deviations from its target. Urtus's head was hit by Wang Yu, but he did not even shake. Then, a green damage number appeared above Urtus's head. -0. How did this happen? Wang Yu was a little absent-minded when she saw the damage number above Urso's head. Urso wasn't wearing a helmet right now. According to normal judgment, the temple was a vital point. Wang Yu should have dealt at least 10,000 damage. This -0 was simply too ironic. Humph! Do you think you can hurt me? Urtus snorted coldly. He leaped and slashed at Wang Yu with his long blade. Wang Yu was very familiar with this move. Collapsing Mountain. Not only was it Urtus's signature move, but it was also a warrior's move. It had very high judgment. If it were in the past, Wang Yu would definitely rush to Urtus's landing point and grab him with a knee strike. However, Urtus's judgment was terrifying now. Wang Yu would not be foolish enough to use the old method to deal with a new boss. Chapter 905-0 The green HP indicator appeared again, but there was still no sign of damage. Upon seeing this scene, Wang Yu was even more puzzled. It would have been fine if he hadn't hit the temple just now. After all, no matter how skilled an expert was, there would still be times when he couldn't hit the target accurately. However, this rod had actually stabbed Urso's eye. Urtus's eyes were as wide as teacups. With Wang Yu's skills, It was impossible for him to poke the eye crookedly even with his eyes closed. Could it be that this guy's head had been sewn up and he was immune to damage? Just as Wang Yu was feeling puzzled, Erdus swung his saber and charged at Wang Yu. Wang Yu leaped to the side and dodged. Who knew that after Erdus missed, he would charge toward Wang Yu again without any hesitation, as though there was no inertia. He turned around and slashed horizontally from left to right with his saber. At this time, it was too late for Wang Yu to dodge. He held his staff with both hands to block Erdus's saber and jumped to the right at the same time. Under Erdus's huge impact, Wang Yu was sent flying 5 to 6 meters away. Although Wang Yu blocked with his staff and jumped to the right to offset most of Erdus's damage, the HP bar above Wang Yu's head still decreased. It was obvious how high Erdus's attack power was. Erdus slashed twice with his saber. Without waiting for Wang Yu to heave a sigh of relief, he disappeared from Wang Yu's sight once again. That's right. This time, he disappeared and not attacked. Meow. Wang Yu could not be more familiar with this move. It was triple slash. Erdus actually knew such a move. After understanding Urso's moves, Wang Yu slammed the long rod into the ground with both his hands. His feet left the ground and sent out a flying kick that was accompanied by lightning. Bang! At this moment, Erdus appeared and collided with Wang Yu's legs. A flash of lightning surrounded Erdus's chest. The powerful priority of Thunder Stomp forced Erdus to take a step back. Wang Yu did not have it easy either. It was as if he had kicked a wall as he was sent flying by Erdus. -0, the green numbers floated up for the third time. This time, not only Wang Yu, but even Wuji and Blood Red War Flag were dumbfounded. Generally speaking, there was no such thing as an invincible boss in the game. If a boss did not take physical damage, it would definitely have extremely low magic resistance. Everyone in Yu Huiqing knew about Wang Yu's Thunder Stomp. It was his signature skill. Everyone knew that not only did Wang Yu have amazing physical attack, but his stomp also had impressive magic attack. Logically speaking, even if Erdus was wearing heavy armor, he should have taken damage from the Thunder Stomp. However, the magic runes on Erdus's armor lit up slightly and absorbed all the dazzling lightning. This boss was 2F** King Strange. Ha ha ha, I won't fall for the same trick twice. Erdus laughed maniacally as his eyes turned red. He suddenly extended his left hand and condensed a huge palm to grab Wang Yu. Wang Yu sprawled on the ground and rolled over in a sorry state to dodge the attack. Before Wang Yu could get up from the roll, Erdus flew high into the air once again and slammed his blade down on the ground. Watch my heaven and earth shattering slash. The mountain and earth shattering slash had a very large attack range. Even if Wang Yu could get up, it would be difficult for him to escape the attack range. Hence, Wang Yu simply lay on the ground and activated his qi. He shouted, "I'll send you to heaven." At the same time, he gathered qi with both hands and pushed them upward. A huge wave slammed toward Erdus. No matter how powerful Erdus was, he was only a level 45 boss. Wang Yu's heaven and earth shattering slash could even block the ultimate skill of an epic boss that was 20 levels higher than him. It would be a piece of cake for him to block Erdus. Wang Yu leaned against the ground and was as still as a mountain. He blasted Erdus, who was in midair and had nowhere to borrow his strength, away. Wang Yu took the opportunity to roll to the right and quick recover. When he looked up, his heart skipped a beat. -0, although Erdus had taken Wang Yu's ultimate skill head-on and was blasted into the sky, he still did not suffer any damage. F***ck. Does this guy have an immortal body? Upon seeing this scene, Blood Red War Flag could not help but exclaim. Wang Yu's performance was already insane enough. They did not expect this boss to be even more insane. He was unscathed after taking such a blow. Wuji frowned and said, "This guy was resurrected from the dead. It's normal that he's not dead. However, his weakness must be even more obvious." "Weakness?" Wuji said carelessly, but Wang Yu listened attentively. That's right. Such an invincible boss must have an obvious weakness. Otherwise, wouldn't this game be impossible to play? Since Ertus was resurrected from the dead, his weakness should be in this resurrection. However, where was it? At that moment, Wang Yu felt that he knew the weakness, but he could not recall it. At that moment, the heaven and earth shattering slash dissipated and Ertus revealed himself. Suddenly, Ertus's small action attracted Wang Yu's attention. Moreover, Ertus had always turned a blind eye to Wang Yu's attacks because he was invulnerable to weapons and was impervious to fire and water. However, at that moment, Ertus placed his saber in front of him and made a blocking posture. Furthermore, his blocking posture was especially strange. Ordinary people would block in front of their chest, but Ertus's blocking position was clearly much higher. He was blocking his neck. Wang Yu swept his gaze behind Ertus's saber and his eyes lit up. Ertus had blocked the wound that was stitched together from his head and neck. The stitched scar wasn't too big for Ertus's figure, but it was definitely not small either. Wang Yu had noticed it when he first saw Ertus. Therefore, this weakness was definitely considered obvious. It made sense. Ertus was a dead man without his head. Now that his head had been sewn back together, his entire body was invincible. The only flaw was the stitched wound. Oh, I see. At the thought of this, Wang Yu narrowed his eyes and switched the staff in his hand to a one-handed sword. Upon seeing Wang Yu's long weapon turn into a short weapon, blood-colored war flag asked curiously, "What's the meaning of this, old cow? Why did he shorten his weapon?" It was common sense that the longer a weapon was, the more advantageous it was. Just now, Wang Yu's weapon was so long, but he was still beaten to a sorry state. Was he giving up on himself by making his weapon shorter? Wuji crossed his arms and said with a relaxed expression, "Humph, it seems like old cow has discovered Ertus's weakness." "Is that so?" Blood-colored war flag found it unbelievable. As the two of them spoke, Ertus came to his senses. He brandished his saber and slashed at Wang Yu again. This time, Wang Yu didn't dodge like before. Instead, he charged at Ertus's saber. F***ck, old cow doesn't want to live anymore. Blood-colored war flag was shocked and could not help but shout. Ertus's death was directly related to the Blood Alliance's quest. If Wang Yu died, then so be it. He wouldn't even lose EXP in the instance dungeon. At most, he would lose some equipment. However, if he failed the quest, it would be a miracle. Chapter 906. Just when Blood Red War Flag thought that Wang Yu would not return, Wang Yu suddenly lowered his head and dodged Ertus's slash. He then stepped forward and cut into Ertus's chest. Ertus was about to wave his hand to counterattack when Wang Yu's longsword had already reached out and slashed the artery on the right side of Ertus's neck. Pa! After a strange sound, a huge damage number appeared above Ertus's head. -1000000 inch. Blood Red War Flag's eyeballs almost popped out. What's going on? The boss, who was not afraid of damage just now, had lost 1/5 of his health. This was a huge drop. Humph, Wuji laughed coldly. He pointed at the wound on Ertus's neck and said, "So this guy's weakness is on his neck." Neck? Blood Red War Flag immediately looked in the direction that Wuji was pointing at and saw the stitched wound on Ertus's neck. Ertus, who had been injured in a vital area, was shocked. He quickly retracted his arms and tried to hug Wang Yu. Wang Yu was quick. Seeing that Ertus was going to act shamelessly, he slid under Ertus's crotch with a slide shovel and arrived behind Ertus. He jumped up and stabbed the wound on the back of Ertus's neck. Pa! -1000000 Ertus's health dropped by 1/5 again. Before Ertus could turn around, Wang Yu's longsword moved to the side and slashed across the right side of Ertus's neck. -1000000 Ertus's health dropped to around 40%. Roar! Ertus let out a violent roar, and his body glowed with a blood-red light. His attacks suddenly sped up, and he slashed out with both his arms, brandishing his longsword as he executed the warrior's signature skill, Whirlwind Slash. Wang Yu did not panic. He flashed out of Ertis's skill range, and at the same time, the longsword in his hand left his hand. While Urso was still spinning, Wang Yu's sword arrived in the blink of an eye and pierced Urso's throat without any deviation. Pa! -200000, a huge damage value appeared once again. Ertis' HP bar was emptied. He supported his body with the long saber in his hand and stood upright on the ground. His massive head separated from his shoulder and fell to the ground. It automatically wrapped up. System notification. You have completed the hidden quest, Vengeful Warrior. You have killed Ertis, the fierce bandit from the northwest, who was at full strength. You have crushed the Sunset Bandits' conspiracy and prevented the people of Yu Huiqing from being plunged into misery and suffering. Yu Huiqing reputation plus 3,000 Yu Huiqing honor plus 500 light faction honor plus 500 neutral faction honor plus 500 obtained the title, Yu Huiqing's Guardian God. Yu Huiqing's Guardian title, Yu Huiqing's Light, passive skill. All purchases in Yu Huiqing's NPC shop are 50% off and transaction tax is waived. F***CK, this is a hidden mission. Why is the reward so low? When he saw the quest reward for killing Ertis, Wang Yu was deeply displeased. Reputation was something that could be seen frequently, but aside from looking good, it did not have any real meaning. Its practicality was far inferior to honor points. However, Wang Yu had never lacked honor points for Yu Huiqing. He had long since reached the max, and no matter how much he added, it would only be respect. As for the last stupid title, it did not have any value at all. Normal titles had some attribute bonuses, but this title was just an official discount voucher. It could only be used in Yu Huiqing's NPC shop. Damn it. What era was this? Aside from arrows and other necessary consumables, how many players still bought things from NPC shops? Besides, Wang Yu was a grandmaster of combat. The chances of him using arrows on a daily basis was practically negligible. Besides, arrows were cheap goods. Even if Wang Yu was a professional archer, he would not be able to save much money by the time he reached the end of the game. The system really knew how to fool people. Haha. Wuji patted Wang Yu's shoulder and comforted him. It's good enough that there's a reward. No one said that a hidden mission must have a reward. That's true. When Wang Yu heard what Wuji said, he could not help but nod. His expression changed from one of dissatisfaction to one of satisfaction. Wang Yu had been cheated by the system too many times. He knew how the system was like. It was already very kind of the system not to take away all the reward. While the two of them were talking, Blood-Red Warflag had already picked up Ertis's head from the side. Wuji wanted to take off Ertis's armor to study it, but he was stopped by Wang Yu. Forget it. He is a warrior. Don't harm his corpse. In fact, even if Ertis's clothes were taken off, there would not be any attribute. Wuji only wanted to take a look at the magic runes. Now that Wang Yu had said so, Wuji only looked at Ertis in disappointment and let him go. They pulled out the menu and clicked to exit the dungeon. The three of them were teleported out of the dungeon. At that moment, the other guild's teams arrived one after another. When they saw Wang Yu's team coming out of the dungeon, everyone panicked and rushed into the dungeon. The first and second places were already gone. It was not bad to fight for third place. They were teleported back to the Castellan's mansion. Apart from Don't Shoot and a few others, there were no other players in the mansion. Earlier, Wang Yu's team was at the back, so Don't Shoot did not see them. At that moment, when he saw Wang Yu and Wuji following behind Blood-Red Warflag, his expression changed. Don't Shoot might have only fought one dungeon with Chuanjin, but the terror of Wang Yu and Wuji was ingrained in his bones. When he saw Blood-Red Warflag calling for the two of them to help, he could not help but feel uneasy. Seeing Don't Shoot's expression, Blood Red War Flag smiled proudly and looked at Don't Shoot provocatively. They walked in front of the Castellan and handed Urtus's head over. Oh! The Castellan looked at Urtus's head and frowned slightly. He then smiled and said, "You did well. You are qualified to be my assistant." Wuji saw the Castellan's actions and secretly said to Wang Yu, "This Castellan is really cunning. What's wrong?" Wang Yu was puzzled by Wuji's words. Wuji said, "The Castellan clearly saw that Urtus's head in Blood Red War Flag's hands was the real Urtus's, but he still pretended to be ordinary. It seems that if Old Flag did not take the initiative to mention it, this old fellow would definitely take away the reward." As expected, Blood Red War Flag was not someone who would fuss over such trivial matters. Their goal was to obtain the qualification to advance. Now that the Castellan had announced that they had advanced, they had already stood to the side happily like an idiot. He really took away the reward. Seeing that the Castellan did not mention it, Wang Yu said anxiously, "Why don't we go and mention it?" Wuji said calmly, "Stop fooling around. The person involved hasn't said anything. Why should we, the followers, mention it? Have you forgotten about the Meddlesome incident?" Meddlesome was a player. Just like his name, he liked to talk too much. When others were handing in their quests, he chattered too much at the side. In the end, his favorability was forcefully lowered by the system. He was so unlucky that it was several times more difficult for him to accept quests than ordinary players. Because of this, the unlucky child took the game company to court. In the end, the game company won the lawsuit by claiming that the company had the final right to explain the situation. The story of the unlucky child spread throughout the game. As the saying went, "Do not speak when watching a chess game. If you insisted on conquering other people's quests, don't blame the system for giving you a hard time." Wang Yu was stunned when he heard that. He dispelled the idea of helping to remind the Castellan. Chapter 907. Generally speaking, the Sunset Lair Instance Dungeon's last boss was the only difficult one. However, the level 45 elite Urtus might be a threat to new players, but to the high-level players of the big guilds, he was already outdated. Of course, Urtus was a dark gold boss. Other than an overpowered expert like Wang Yu, it would be difficult for the three of them to defeat him. Wang Yu and the others waited in the Dungeon Lord's Hall for close to 40 minutes before Page Book and the other two girls returned. Wang Yu was well aware of Yi Yeshu's skills. After all, Yi Yeshu was a martial artist and had a hidden branch job. His strength wasn't much weaker than the people from the Quan Jin sect. The reason why he had taken 40 minutes to return was because he had been jogging on the way here. After another 20 minutes, players from the other guilds arrived one after another. However, the number of people who returned was much smaller than when they had left. When they had left, there had been around 30 guild players, close to 100 people. Now, with Wang Yu's group, there were only around 50 to 60 people. That was almost half of the original number. From this, it could be seen that although they were all guilds that had received the Dungeon Lord's invitation, there was a huge difference in strength. Those that did not return were mostly because they had not even cleared the instance dungeon. They knew that it would be embarrassing if they returned, so they gave up. According to the rules, only the top 15 teams could stay. The rest of the players had lost the right to participate. The Dungeon Lord gave them some reputation and money as rewards before sending them away. After the miscellaneous people left, the Dungeon Lord said with a gratified expression, "After the test just now, everyone's strength is the best candidate to manage the instance dungeon. Especially Blood Alliance, you completed the mission in the shortest time possible. I admire this. This is for you as a reward." As he spoke, the Dungeon Lord waved his hand and a golden-red badge appeared in Wang Yu's and the other two's hands. Blood Red War Flag took a look at the badge and showed its attributes to their captain, Don't Shoot. Yu Huicheng's Glory Medal Badge, Yu Huicheng's Glory. Yu Huicheng's Glory plus 50-inch stats badge? Seeing the badge in blood-red war flag's hand, Don't Shoot did not react. However, the spectating players cried out in surprise. The guild leader was just a decoration. This was the first time they had seen an item with attribute. Don't underestimate the plus 50 honor points. Honor points in main cities were notoriously difficult to grind. 50 honor points was basically the equivalent of a week's worth of dungeon runs. After being praised by the city lord and receiving an attribute badge, Blood Red War Flag felt extremely good. It immediately felt that it was one step closer to success. It hurriedly and shamelessly said, "City Lord, you flatter us. Caring for the people is what we should do." What bullsh *t. Captain Don't Shoot looked at Blood Red War Flag's smug expression with disdain. Ha! The city lord laughed and said, however, extraordinary strength is still a basic requirement. Do you know what qualities a qualified city lord must have? The city lord's question directly stunned these people. After all, they were a group of gaming geeks. Who would have thought about the matters of a country's leader? Even the leader of a big guild like Blood Red War Flag was only at the level of management in the Gathering Forest. It had to be known that in China, a village chief had as many subordinates as Blood Red War Flag. He was just a guild leader. How could he think about managing a city? Humph. It seems that you don't know. The city lord said with some regret. The quality of a manager is unity. Only unity can defeat everything. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Even Wuji did not expect the city lord to give such an answer. Unity. Even elementary school students knew that unity was strength. Who would have thought that the city lord would ask such a simple question? So, the second trial's content is teamwork. The city lord said seriously. As the city lord's voice fell, everyone received the second trial quest. System notification. You have accepted the trial quest, City Lord's Trial, Second Round Unity, Quest Level A Mission Background. As the main city at the borders of the neutral camp, the Dark Church is constantly trying to make it their territory. The Sunset Peak was an ancient battlefield in the past, as well as the place where the sixth apostle died. At the same time, it is also the place where the Dark Church's White Bone Army buys their bones. Now that the seal on the sixth apostle has loosened, the power of darkness is leaking from the Sunset Peak, and the White Bone Army is showing signs of revival. The city lord has the duty to unite and eliminate the threat for the citizens of the city. Quest objective. Explore the Sunset Valley 0 of 1. Even though the Sunset Valley and the Sunset Valley only had a one-word difference, they were in two different directions from Yu Huicheng. The Sunset Valley was a level 50 training area. Not only was it quite far from Yu Huicheng, but the monsters in the valley were also very powerful. There were even flying monsters. It was a place that players were most unwilling to go. It could be said that it was a place where few people would go. The goal of the second round of the trial mission was very simple. It was to explore the Sunset Valley. There was no limit to the number of people or the ranking. However, with the previous example, everyone instinctively thought that this mission would be the same as before. The sooner the better. They might even be able to get an attribute badge like Blood Red War Flag did. Therefore, as soon as they received the mission, they didn't stop at all and immediately ran out. Don't Shoot and the others were the best. They took out a scroll and activated the teleportation. Blood Red War Flag did not want to lose to Don't Shoot at all. Seeing that Don't Shoot was about to fly away, how could they endure it? They took out a scroll and tried to follow. Save it. Wuji wiped his sweat and once again blocked Blood Red War Flag. Blood Red War Flag really had the mentality of a nouveau riche. If not for Wuji stopping them, they would have lost both scrolls. Captain Don't Shoot, that bastard is running away. If you don't chase after him now, it will be too late, Blood Red War Flag said anxiously after being stopped. Wuji smiled. He can be anxious. We don't have to be anxious. We can just walk slowly. Why? Blood Red War Flag was a little confused. Wuji said calmly, "You are still the boss of a big guild. Such an important mission, didn't you think about it carefully?" This Blood Red War Flag was speechless. The more important the mission in Rebirth, the more clues one had to find from the mission introduction. This time, the mission's goal was too simple. Everyone was in a hurry to get the reward. They did not think about why an A-rank mission would have such a simple mission requirement. This character introduction, did you see any clues? Blood Red War Flag carefully read the mission introduction twice and asked Wuji curiously. This mission introduction was obviously the author faking the number of words. There was no real substance at all. Chapter 908. Quest Name. Blood Red War Flag was even more confused after hearing Wuji's words. "That's right," Wuji said, "Unity. Obviously, this quest can't be completed by one person. Without us, they can't complete the quest. So that's how it is." Blood Red War Flag finally understood and gave Wuji a thumbs up. The system's way of issuing quests was shameless enough. Wuji could even see through such a shameless method, which showed that he was even more shameless than the system. Guild leaders all liked to put on airs. They especially enjoyed the feeling of having everyone waiting for them in the limelight. After figuring out the requirements of the mission, the originally anxious Blood Red War Flag no longer panicked. They calmly led Wang Yu and Wuji out of the City Lord's mansion. "Big Brother Iron Ox. Big Brother Wuji, we've been waiting for you for a long time." As soon as the three of them walked out of the mayor's mansion, Yeshu greeted them from the side, followed by her two guild leaders. "Waiting for us?" Wang Yu was puzzled. "Why didn't you go with them?" "Hee hee." Yeshu smiled slyly. "Going with you will give me benefits." As a lone traveler who had ambushed Wang Yu, Yeshu was not only smart, but also insightful. In the first round of the quest, Yeshu could see that Wang Yu and Wuji were not ordinary. She knew that one of them was sinister and cunning, while the other was invincible. Even if she couldn't get any benefits by following them, she definitely wouldn't lose out. "Oh, you're quite smart. How did you know that following us would give you benefits?" Wuji asked with a little surprise. Yeshu smiled. "A woman's intuition." Wuji was speechless. What bullsh *T woman's intuition? Wuji wouldn't believe such nonsense. Of course, since the girl had said it, Wuji wouldn't continue to ask. However, the journey from Yuhuiqing to the Sunset Valley was not a short one. It was not interesting for the three of them to travel together. At this time, there were three good-looking girls who wanted to go with them. It was quite a good feeling. Wuji, the old pervert, naturally wouldn't refuse. The two girls, Xia Xia Tian Shui and Dong Dong Xianhua, were also very outgoing. After a while, they became familiar with each other and soon forgot the fact that Wuji was the leader of the hooligans. They quickly became friends with him. Wuji was like a mouse that had fallen into a rice jar. He was so happy that he couldn't close his legs. Along the way, he kept saying that he was really lucky to have a brother like Wang Yu. Wang Yu and Blood Red War Flag silently distanced themselves from him, indicating that they were not familiar with him. However, as the monsters in the leveling area grew taller and taller, Blood Red War Flag finally felt that something was wrong. Along the way, they didn't know if Wuji was doing it on purpose, but he actually slowed down his pace, as if he was showing off to the passers-by. Blood Red War Flag was a sensible person, so they naturally wouldn't disturb Wuji. However, it was already a level 45 leveling area. There were almost no players left, yet Wuji was still leisurely leading the way. This was a bit unreasonable. "Boss Wuji, is it really okay for us to walk so slowly?" Blood Red War Flag wasn't stupid. If they were half an hour late, they would be putting on airs. If they were an hour late, they would be asking for a beating. Blood Red Alliance didn't want to be the target of everyone. Wuji waved his hand and said, "No rush, they're just ahead. We'll just follow slowly." "How do you know?" Xia Xia Tian Shui saw that Wuji was so sure and couldn't help but be curious. Before Wuji could reply, one page laughed and said, "Didn't you guys notice that we didn't meet a single monster on the way here? TSK. Smart." Wuji glanced at one page and showed an expression of praise. The others quickly reacted. It really was the case. Although there were quite a few high-level monsters, the path they were on was very smooth. There wasn't a single monster. It was fine if it was a low-level monster area, since the monsters had basically been killed by the players. However, there weren't any monsters in the high-level monster area. This was very strange. After all, there were very few players who had the ability to kill high-level monsters. They didn't have the ability to clear the monsters on the road. So the only possibility was that the team in front was clearing out the monsters. The monsters took less than 10 minutes to respawn, and they hadn't met a single monster on the way. This was enough to prove that the team in front was not far from them. Thinking of this, Blood Red War Flag was happy. These high-level monsters weren't easy to deal with. Killing them all the way would definitely consume a lot of potions. Who knew what was waiting for them in Sunset Valley? It wasn't wise to waste potions on the road. However, now that everyone was walking slowly, and the players in front were clearing the monsters, they didn't even have to move their hands to safely pass through. This was a great advantage. As expected, when the two teams on Wang Yu's side reached the Sunset Valley, the team in front had just finished clearing the monsters. Seeing that Wang Yu and the rest had arrived with the girls, chatting and laughing, everyone was fuming in their hearts. However, everyone knew who the two masters behind Blood Red War Flag were. They couldn't afford to offend Blood Red War Flag, let alone a ruthless person like Wang Yu. They could only glare at the three girls in displeasure. "Hey, did you guys find anything?" Blood Red War Flag greeted them from afar and asked loudly. Everyone turned their heads and pretended not to hear him. It was obvious that without enough people, they couldn't even enter Sunset Valley. Why don't I see Captain Don't Shoot that old B***TCH? Blood Red War Flag's first thought was to attack Captain Don't Shoot. However, Blood Red War Flag looked around and didn't see Captain Don't Shoot, which made them disappointed. "He's flying. Maybe he's already gone back." 2012, who was next to Blood Red War Flag, said. "Impossible." Blood Red War Flag said, "We haven't arrived yet. He definitely can't go in. Nyogu. Save me." Before the Blood Red War Flag could finish its sentence, a roar came from above. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw Captain Don't Shoot and the other two standing on a boulder halfway up the mountain, waving their staffs and shields to repel the flying hawk monsters. Seeing Captain Don't Shoot in such a sorry state, Blood Red War Flag was in a good mood. He laughed and asked, "Haha, why did you crash?" Blood Red War Flag, "Go to hell. I don't want to talk to you." Captain Don't Shoot was obviously in a bad mood. Blood Red War Flag said angrily, "Nyogu, there are competitors. Don't save them." Captain Don't Shoot was shocked and quickly shouted, "Nyogu, don't listen to him. If you save us, I'll give you 1,000 gold. 2,000 gold, don't save him." Blood Red War Flag was determined to keep Captain Don't Shoot up there. 3,000 gold. When it came to money, Captain Don't Shoot was afraid of anyone. He raised the price again. These two guild leaders raised the price by 1,000, which made the people around him tremble. Alright, that's enough. If he can't come down, we can't go in either. If we force him to commit suicide, you'll have to pay for it." Just as Blood Red War Flag was about to raise the price to 4,000, Wuji poked his back and whispered, "P.S. I'm preparing a new book. I haven't decided on the character of the main character yet. This book feels a bit sloppy. An honest, kind, and noble cow like me can't handle the wretched and two-faced character." Chapter 909. Blood Red War Flag was so focused on scolding Don't Shoot that they forgot about being united. After being reminded by Wuji, they immediately shut their mouth. After all, even if they died, they would only lose 10% of their experience. A few thousand gold coins for 10% experience was definitely not a loss. Wang Yu was a person who valued friendship. Although Don't Shoot wasn't a friend, they had fought together before. They could be considered acquaintances. Now that Don't Shoot had asked for help, there was no reason for Wang Yu not to help. At this time, Wang Yu had already activated Qinggong. With a few leaps, he landed on the platform. Wow, he's flying. The platform was more than 10 meters above the ground. When the others below saw Wang Yu jump onto it, they were filled with envy. Wang Yu flew onto the platform, grabbed Don't Shoot with one hand, and jumped off the platform. When he was about to land, Wang Yu's feet stepped lightly in the air, and he landed steadily. He placed Don't Shoot gently on the ground. This back and forth was extremely elegant, and once again, everyone was filled with emotion. After putting Don't Shoot down, Wang Yu flew up again and saved Big Bear and the others. Just as Wang Yu flew up to save Solid Rock Sword for the third time, Wang Yu suddenly discovered a circular magic formation on the platform. The magic formation was engraved with a circle of dim magic runes. What's this? Wang Yu asked Solid Rock, puzzled. I'm not sure. Big Bear studied it for a long time, but he couldn't figure it out, Solid Rock replied honestly. Oh, Wang Yu wasn't Wuji. He only maintained a curious attitude towards magic formations and runes. He wasn't too interested in them, so he responded and jumped down with Solid Rock. The 15 teams had finally arrived. The fog at the entrance of Sunset Valley gradually dispersed, revealing the scene inside. Wang Yu had actually seen the scene in the Sunset Valley before. As the burial ground of the Skeleton Corps, this place definitely lived up to its name. White bones covered the entire valley, and there were piles of skeletons everywhere. Mournful and strange sounds echoed in the valley. A cold wind blew past, and everyone couldn't help but feel their scalps go numb. Even Wang Yu and Yi Shu, who had been here before, couldn't help but frown. Summer snow and winter flowers, the two girls screamed in fear, attracting everyone's attention. Shameless Wuji couldn't help but take advantage of the situation. Seeing the girls like this, Wuji said with a wretched expression. Girls, are you looking for a broad chest? Wuji said and opened his arms. However, the two ladies ignored the frail Wuji and set their eyes on the tall and strong Wang Yu. Wuji, old cow, stand back. Wuji was furious. Wang Yu stood to the side and scratched his head. I'm ashamed. Everyone. After Wuji's ruckus, the fear in everyone's hearts was immediately washed away. At the same time, the thick fog in the valley completely dissipated, and the entire valley was clearly revealed to everyone. Aside from the bones that covered the ground, there were pillars made of white bones on both sides of the valley. White bone totem. Totem seal, used to suppress the white bone altar. These white bone totems were things that Wang Yu had never seen before. From the entrance to the end of Sunset Valley, there were exactly 15 of them. System notification. You have discovered the ancient battlefield, Boneyard. Obtained 10,000 EXP. Explore Sunset Valley January 1st, complete. It's done? Everyone was in disbelief when they saw the completion of the quest. Although the quest didn't seem difficult from the character description, it couldn't have been this easy. While everyone was still in shock, the white bone totems on both sides of the valley suddenly lit up. 15 pillars of light of various colors soared into the sky, piercing through the clouds above the setting sun valley. Immediately after, the pillars of light transformed into 15 halos, enveloping the players of the 15 teams. Immediately after, everyone received another system notification. You have accepted the quest, City Lord's Trial, second round, unite as one, quest rank A, quest background. The undying warriors have been asleep for 1,000 years. The totem seal suppressing the white bone altar has begun to loosen. The breath of the living has disturbed the peace of the dead, and the warriors who thirst for blood have begun to awaken. reckless adventurers have rashly entered Sunset Valley and broken the White Bone Altar's seal. The undead army will once again awaken. Adventurers, you must bear the consequences of your actions. Please pick up your weapon and surround Yu-Huiqing behind you. Quest objective: stop the skeleton army that intends to rush out of Sunset Valley, destroy the White Bone Altar that summons the skeleton army 0 to 1. If the quest fails, Yu-Huiqing's prestige -1000, Yu-Huiqing's honor -100, light faction's honor -100, neutral faction's honor -100, dark faction's honor +100. F***CK. Isn't this a scam? Everyone cursed at the joy of seeing the quest. Damn, there was originally no problem, but the moment the city lord asked them to explore, trouble arose. What was more infuriating was that the players had to bear the responsibility in the end. This was obviously a trap dug by the system for the players to jump into. Who were these game designers to think of such a scam? Crack, crack, in the midst of everyone's anger, skeleton soldiers crawled out from the ground of the Sunset Valley. These skeleton soldiers were either carrying rusty machetes or bone clubs. There was also a small number of skeletons that came out from the skeleton squad. They held bone bows in their hands as they stood in the innermost part of the valley. Skeleton Warrior, LV 45, HP, 10,000 MP, 5,000 skill. Bloodthirsty/Skeleton Mage, LV 45, HP, 5,000 MP, 10,000 skill. Embrace of Hellfire Skeleton Archer, LV 45, Elite, HP, 8,000 MP, 8,000 skill. Arrow of Rebirth. The stats of these three types of monsters were trash. They could not be any more fragile in front of the level 45 monsters. However, there were so many of them. In a few seconds, the valley was filled to the brim. It was a shocking sight. Get into formation, get into formation. When the enemy reached a certain level of strength, people would instinctively unite with each other. Seeing so many monsters crawling out of the valley, everyone could care less about their hatred for each other. They came to an agreement. The 15 teams immediately lined up, with the tanks in front, the damage dealers behind, and the healers at the back. They formed a formation. Sunset Valley was not very large. The 15 teams lined up in a 20-meter wide line, just enough to block the entrance of the valley and keep the skeleton army in the valley. As the number of skeletons in the valley increased, everyone quickly exchanged fire with the skeleton warriors at the front. Chapter 9-10. At the beginning of the game, players did not have any equipment and were unfamiliar with the operating system, so they felt that the game was especially difficult. However, as the players' levels increased, everyone's equipment and skills also improved. As time passed, everyone became more familiar with the game's settings and became more familiar with the controls. So, as long as they were not stupid to a certain extent, killing monsters of the same level was not a problem. The players of the 15 teams were all elites of a major guild like Yu-Huiqing. Whether it was in terms of control or equipment, they were second to none. Dealing with these skeleton monsters was a piece of cake. As soon as the battle began, everyone quickly formed the most solid formation. The attributes of these skeleton soldiers were not very good. Whether it was magic or physical attacks, these elite players were not affected at all. It was no different from scratching an itch. Even if there were many skeleton soldiers, after a round of attacks, the clerics at the back could instantly restore the frontline players' HP back to full. A level 45 player's normal attack power was generally around 5,000. Even a non-damage output class like a shield warrior could deal around 2,000 damage. There was no need to mention the mage players. Whether it was a fire mage or a lightning mage, they had a slight bonus to the skeleton soldiers. The holy light magic of the clerics, in particular, had a damage bonus of several times. These skeleton soldiers did not have any armor, so their defense was basically 0. The highest HP did not exceed 10,000. When the players used their skills, It was like harvesting wheat, scattering these skeleton soldiers one by one. These skeleton soldiers were level 45 monsters, so their experience was slightly higher than ordinary level 45 monsters. Not only that, but with every skeleton soldier killed, they would receive a kill point. This made the players very excited, because the goal of this quest was to prevent the skeleton corps from leaving the Sunset Valley. There was no specific evaluation method like the first stage. So, these kill points were definitely used to evaluate the player's completion of the quest. Although the system did not say that the team with the lowest number of points would be eliminated, the team with the highest number of points would definitely not be eliminated. Thinking of this, everyone's hands moved even faster. As the skeleton soldiers fell one by one, everyone's points and experience jumped rapidly. But soon, everyone felt that something was wrong. Huh? Why are these skeleton soldiers not decreasing? It was true that Wang Yu could fight, but he was more interested in challenging strong opponents. These weak monsters were like flies in his eyes. No matter how many times they were killed, it was useless. For a martial arts master, this was simply torture. After killing for so long, Wang Yu was finally a little tired. He couldn't help but raise his head and look into the valley. What he saw shocked him. Really? When Wuji heard this, he took out his glasses and put them on the bridge of his nose. He glanced at the valley and was dumbfounded. The valley was completely filled with skeletons, and some of them were even piled up. The vast expanse of whiteness was extremely frightening. Aya! Why are these skeletons' attacks getting higher? Blood Red War Flag, who was at the forefront, cried out. His attack has increased? Wuji was stunned when he heard this. He then cast detection on the skeleton soldiers, which had been level 45 a moment ago, and discovered that they had all risen to level 48. One of the skeleton archers had even reached level 49. Not good. Everyone, stop grinding. Wuji hurriedly shouted when he saw this scene. However, aside from Pagebook and a few others, everyone else was busy grinding points. Who would pay attention to Wuji? They all knew that this bastard wasn't to be trifled with, so they pretended not to hear him. How could Wuji not know that everyone was pretending to be deaf and dumb? Seeing that no one was paying attention to him, he casually pushed a mage to his right. Although Wuji was a cleric, his attributes were quite extravagant. His strength was much higher than an ordinary mage's. Caught off guard, the pitiful mage was pushed into the crowd of monsters by Wuji. In the blink of an eye, countless rusty iron blades fell on the mage's body. Even Blood Red War Flag was struggling to endure the skeleton soldiers' attacks, let alone the mage. The mage didn't even get a chance to make a sound before he was diced into a white light. As it turned out, no matter how much they talked, it was better to fight. Wuji's actions attracted everyone's attention. Seeing Wuji suddenly attack the person next to him, everyone trembled. They stared at Wuji warily and asked, What are you doing? Everyone knew that the people of Chuanjin were all crazy and cruel by nature. Now, everyone was afraid that Wuji would attack them. After all, with Wang Yu standing in front of Wuji, even though there were a few dozen people who had a common enemy, they couldn't help but feel a little guilty. Looking at these people who only cared about eating without caring about their table manners, Wuji said angrily, What can I do? Don't you see that the monster's stats have all increased? Everyone was stunned when they heard this. They all used detect spells and saw the skeleton soldier's stat. Everyone immediately understood what was going on. Meow, they had fallen for the system's trick again. These skeletons couldn't be defeated at all. Not only were there more and more of them, but the next wave would also level up. The more they fought, the stronger the enemies would become. What was the point of fighting? Isn't this a trap? This quest can't be completed, right? Blood Red War Flag shouted as they resisted the attacks of the skeleton soldiers. Now, Blood Red War Flag and the players in the front row didn't dare to fight back. After all, these monsters were getting stronger and stronger. If they killed them, the later ones would be even more difficult to deal with. Wuji said, "Look at the quest description. Our goal isn't just the skeleton core, but the white bone altar." White bone altar? Where? Everyone was at a loss. At this time, Wang Yu pointed into the valley and said, "In the deepest part of the valley." "Then let's kill our way in." "What's the point of talking?" someone suggested. Wuji said, "Nonsense. Who doesn't know that killing our way in is the most direct way? Don't you see what the depths of the valley look like now?" "The deepest part? Damn." Hearing this, everyone looked inside and saw that the skeleton soldiers had piled up into a mountain in the depths of the Sunset Valley. Their faces were full of shock. There was no white bone altar here. There was only a mountain of bones. Even if they killed their way in, there was no place to stay. "How the F***ck are we supposed to fight?" Wuji rubbed his chin and said, "Now that things have come to this, we can only block the skeleton soldiers in front of us. Then, we can find a team to charge in and slowly clear them out." "Alright, let's do that." Everyone expressed their agreement. From the current situation, as long as the players didn't kill the skeletons in front, the skeletons behind them wouldn't level up. Although it was troublesome to charge in and clear them out slowly, it was still a good idea. "Roar!" After coming up with a plan, just as everyone was about to push forward, a loud roar broke the silence. At the same time, a skeleton monster on a horse came out from the White Bone Mountain in the depths of the valley. Chapter 9-11. Skeleton Knight LV50, Elite, HP, 100000 MP, 50,000 skills, /charge innate skill, wind strike background introduction, a battle-hardened warrior who uses the strongest bones of his enemies to summon a netherworld warhorse. It is a powerhouse bathed in blood. Damn, there's such a thing? Everyone was shocked when they saw the Skeleton Knight stats. They didn't think that skeleton warriors would evolve after reaching level 50. Not only would their skills become stronger, but their stats would also increase by 10 times. The system was quite sinister. It actually used experience and points to lure players to farm monsters. Fortunately, they discovered this early. Otherwise, everyone would have been killed. After the Skeleton Knight drilled out of the pile of bones, it looked around and raised its lance. A green battle aura shot out from the tip of the lance. The battle aura collided with the skeleton warriors in front of it. The skeleton warriors were all shattered, and a gap was cleared in front of the Skeleton Knight. At the same time, 2 strange skeleton soldiers drilled out from the Skeleton Knight's side. One was holding an exquisite staff, and the other was holding an exquisite bone bow. Skeleton Magician, LV50, Elite, HP, 50,000 MP, 100000 skills, Embrace of Hellfire, Hellfire innate skill, soul-sucking background introduction, a terrifying skeleton mage who absorbs the soul fire of its own kind to strengthen itself. Its mental strength is extremely strong. Skeleton Archer, LV50, Elite, HP, 80,000 MP, 80,000 skills, Arrow of Rebirth, Dark Arrow of the Undead innate skill, Perception background introduction, a powerful skeleton archer that has mastered the power of hell. Its outstanding perception can detect any living creature. Although the stats of these 3 skeletons were 10 times higher than ordinary skeleton soldiers, they were only level 50 elite monsters. Their stats were only SOSO. The players could control how much they lost, so they didn't pay too much attention to them. However, the actions of these 3 skeleton soldiers left everyone completely dumbfounded. As soon as these 3 appeared, they immediately attacked the low-level skeletons around them. Under the protection of the skeletal knights and skeletal archers, the skeletal great wizard waved his staff and summoned black flames that engulfed the dozen or so skeletal soldiers around him. When these skeleton soldiers were killed by players, they would only turn into bones and scatter to the ground. After a while, these skeleton soldiers would crawl back up. However, the dozen or so skeleton soldiers killed by the skeletal Great Wizard did not turn into bone. Instead, they all turned into wisps of dark blue soul flames. Immediately afterwards, the skeleton mage put away his staff, and a dozen wisps of willow. The wisps flew in front of the skeleton mage before being swallowed by it. After killing more than a dozen low-level skeleton soldiers, the cleared space was once again filled with skeletons. But this time, they were high-level skeleton soldiers like Skeleton Knight. Just like the previous 3 high-level skeletons, these skeleton soldiers began to slaughter their low-level companions after they appeared, and then summoned high-level skeletons. The cycle repeated itself, and before long, more than half of the low-level skeleton soldiers in the valley had been slaughtered, replaced by high-level skeleton soldiers. At this moment, everyone completely understood that the undead army's setting was actually the law of the jungle. Low-level skeleton soldiers did not know how to kill each other. However, after players farmed them to a certain level, they would evolve. The space in the valley was fixed. In order to summon more high-level companions, these high-level skeleton soldiers would kill the lower-level skeleton soldiers. If this continued, the undead army's monsters' levels would continue to increase. If time dragged on, it was not impossible for all of them to evolve into ultimate undead bone dragons. When that time came, even if all of you Huicheng's players came, it would be useless, not to mention only a few dozen players. Damn, this quest is too F***ed up. I'm going to complain. Seeing the scene in the valley, someone finally could not take it anymore and shouted, wanting to retreat. At this time, the most terrifying thing was the army's morale. Hearing this, the others also thought of retreating. Seeing that the players were about to collapse, Wuji shouted, "Don't panic. There is no such thing as an unsolvable quest. Everyone has to rely on their brains. Do you think we have a chance of winning now?" At this time, no one was afraid of offending them. At this time, no one was afraid of offending Wuji. "You have no chance of winning like this." Wuji frowned and said, "Frontline and healers, hold the monsters. Damage dealers, go look around and see if there are any special mechanisms here." Special mechanisms weren't rare in Rebirth. In such an unsolvable situation, there would always be a breakthrough. It was just that the breakthrough was very hidden. It is useless to search, we are dead. At this time, some people had already lost their will to fight. Wuji was not used to such people. He squinted his eyes and said coldly, "Listen to my commands now. Whoever dares to not go will be declaring war against Yuanjin and Blood Alliance. Think about the consequences." When everyone heard this, they all revealed expressions of fear. The players who wanted to say something quickly shut their mouth. What a joke. Blood Alliance and Yuanjin, who in Huicheng could afford to offend these two guilds? If he declared war on these two guilds at the same time, he might as well stop playing the game. Seeing that no one dared to object, Wuji looked at the undead army pouncing over. As he healed blood-red war flag, he shouted at the group of people who were scared out of their wits, "What are you waiting for? Go!" When everyone heard this, they hurriedly scattered in search of a breakthrough point. However, the entrance of the valley was only so big. Everyone flipped over the rocks and didn't find anything strange. That's impossible. Could it be above the valley? Seeing that no one was able to find anything, Wuji frowned and muttered, "Above." When Wang Yu heard this, he looked up. At this time, Wang Yu saw the small platform where the 3 people were trapped. The small platform was 10 meters away from the left side of the mountain. It looked like a protruding rock and wasn't obvious at all. However, when he was on it, Wang Yu found a magic formation. Could it be there? Wang Yu pointed at the platform and said to Wuji, "When I went up just now, I saw magic runes on it." Magic runes? Wuji's eyes lit up when he heard this. "I'll go up and take a look." As he said this, Wuji waved his staff and used the flight spell to rise into the air. He leisurely flew up to the stone platform on the mountain wall. Just as Wang Yu had said, there was a magic array on the platform. The magic array was engraved with magic runes. These magic runes looked very familiar, but they were dim and lifeless. Clearly, they no longer contained any mana. Things like magic formations without magic power were like trash. It was obvious that this thing was useless. As Wuji caressed the runes with his hand, he thought to himself, why would the system create a useless magic array here for no reason? Could it be that this thing can be recharged? How do I recharge it? As he was thinking, Wuji suddenly froze. He touched the runes beside the magic formation and counted them one by one. Chapter 9:12. 15 runes, 15 teams. Could there be a connection between them? Wuji quickly looked down and saw that the terrain beneath the players' feet was also made up of runes, and they were exactly the same as the ones on the magic array. The players' bodies were glowing in various colors, and the runes were very noisy. Could it be that the colors on everyone's bodies matched these runes? Wuji began to observe carefully. As expected, there were a total of 15 runes, but there were only 7 types. The players' bodies were also colored in 7 colors. Although Wuji did not know what the runes represented, the number of runes was the same as the number of colors on the players' bodies. That made things easier. After discovering this, Wuji quickly divided the runes and the players into 2 groups. The runes were represented by capital letters 1, 2, 3, 4 and the runes were represented by the Arabic numerals 1234. There were 3 number 1 runes and 3 green teams. The green color represented the number 1 rune, which was numbered 1, 3, and 5. There were 2 number 2 runes and 2 red teams. So very quickly, Wuji found out the color of each rune through comparison and elimination. 2012, your team will go to the leftmost position. 3rd Young Master Lingyun, you will go to the 3rd position on the left. Leader, don't shoot, you will go to the 5th position. After confirming the colors of the runes, Wuji hurriedly commanded everyone to stand at the designated position of the rune. When everyone stood at the designated position, the runes around the magic array on the platform emitted a dazzling light. The runes under the feet of the rest of the players shone with different colors. At the same time, according to the different colors of the runes under their feet, 7 different buffs were applied. Totem power. Red players' strength is increased by 300% totem power, orange players' agility is increased by 300%. In order to prevent people from suspecting the number of words used, Old Cow will not write them down one by one. Refer to the Calabash Brothers for the details. In short, the 7 colors of buffs enhanced the various attributes of the players. The players who were on the verge of collapsing due to the undead army immediately became stronger after the buffs, forcibly blocking the skeleton soldiers from entering the Sunset Valley. At the same time, Wuji also received multiple buffs from the magic array. All of his attributes suddenly soared, and his body glowed with a dazzling holy light. Wuji was like a god under the buff of the magic array, and a pair of faint wings spread out behind him. Under the illumination of the holy light, Wuji raised his staff and cast group cleansing at the undead army in the depths of the Sunset Valley. Now that all of Wuji's attributes had skyrocketed, his attack range had also greatly increased. In an instant, Wuji cast purification to the deepest part of the setting sun valley. The holy light magic was the most effective against the necromancy magic, so there was no doubt that it would be effective against these skeleton soldiers. Furthermore, when Wuji cast the holy light magic in this state, it really seemed to have the power to destroy the world, like how a god sliced the continent apart with a finger. The skeleton soldiers in the depths of the Sunset Valley, along with the white bones on the ground, were directly melted by the dazzling holy light, and a large open space was revealed. The bone altar was impressively in the center of the open space, and the skeleton army was being summoned through the bone altar in batches. Sensing that the bone altar was under attack, the skeleton soldiers that were desperately rushing out of the valley immediately turned around and ran back, and Wuji's second spell had already fallen. Whoosh, the skeleton soldiers were cleared once again. At this time, Wuji was already unstoppable. Every time a spell was cast, a large number of skeleton soldiers would be taken away. The bone altar's summoning and the skeleton soldiers' continuous replenishment could not keep up with the consumption. Under the continuous bombardment of Wuji's abnormal spells, the bone altar finally could not hold on and was blasted into pieces by Wuji's holy light. The bone altar was destroyed, and the remaining skeleton soldiers in the valley lost their support. One by one, they fell to the ground and turned into white bones and dust. The colorful lights on the players also dissipated. On the platform, Wuji's body softened, and his attributes returned to normal. At the same time, everyone received a system notification. You have completed the Castellan's trial mission, unite as one, destroyed the bone altar, and stopped the invasion of the undead army. Yu Huiqing reputation plus 300 Yu Huiqing reputation plus 50 light faction reputation plus 50 neutral faction reputation plus 50 obtained the title, Yu Huiqing's protector. Yu Huiqing's protector, title, Yu Huiqing's hope. Passive skill, 20% discount on all purchases in Yu Huiqing's NPC shop. After the survivors saw the system notification, they let out a long sigh of relief and sat on the ground. They were in disbelief, and their faces were full of joy. Fortunately, they listened to Wuji and did not run away. Otherwise, they would have become Yu Huiqing's sinners. Let's go back in hand in the mission. We'll be eliminated if we're late. After resting for a while, the originally united group suddenly realized that they were still competitors, and immediately fell apart again, scrambling to run in the direction of Afterglow City. Wuji, who was on the platform because his flying skill was on cooldown, looked at the people running under his feet and shouted hysterically, "Damn it, catch me! Do you believe that I won't kill you ingrates in minutes? Ignore him, ignore him!" Chapter 9:13. In response to the players' wails, the city lord displayed the professionalism of an intelligent NPC. He quickly changed the topic and said, "Well, everyone here is an outstanding citizen of Yu Huiqing. Everyone here has the ability to assist me in managing this city. However, you still need to pass the third trial." "What's the last trial mission like?" The noisy gamers were immediately attracted to a new topic when they heard that it was a serious matter. The city lord saw that everyone was no longer concerned about the points, so he cleared his throat and said, "An outstanding manager not only needs great strength and unity, but also outstanding intelligence. Therefore, the last trial is to test everyone's scouting ability. System notification. You have accepted the trial mission, City Lord's Trial, 3rd round, the Lost Manager's Seal. Mission rank A. Mission background. Yu Huiqing belongs to all the citizens of Yu Huiqing. Every guild in Yu Huiqing has the right to manage Yu Huiqing. Currently, every district in Afterglow City lacked 2 managers. For the sake of fairness, Afterglow City's City Lord had placed the manager position seals of each district in various locations throughout the city. Players could use whatever resources they had at their disposal to search for the seals. In the end, the corresponding district that a player obtained a seal would be under that player's jurisdiction. There is no limit to the number of seals that each guild can obtain. Mission objective: find the manager's seal. F***CK. This isn't fair. Seeing the mission notification, the bosses of a few small guilds immediately jumped out and shouted, "I think it's quite fair." Wang Yu was puzzled by the actions of the bosses of these small guilds. In addition to the 4 major cities of East, West, North, and South, Yu Huiqing also had 3 small cities: Central Administrative District, Development District, and White Refugee District. There were a total of 7 cities and 14 management positions. The 14 positions corresponded to 15 teams. No guild was chosen, so they had to find the positions themselves. It was very reasonable. Wuji said, "Old cow, you've neglected the mission requirements. Mission requirements? That's a bit unfair. When Wang Yu heard this, she looked at the mission again and finally reacted. Mobilizing all the forces that could be mobilized first was obviously looking down on the small guild. The Blood Alliance had at least tens of thousands of people. Compared to a small guild with only a few hundred people, they had an absolute advantage in terms of numbers. This way, the chances of a small guild finding the seal would be reduced by who knew how many times. It was one thing to reduce the probability, but the worst part was the last sentence of the quest introduction, which stated that there was no limit to the number of seals each guild could obtain. Didn't this mean that as long as a guild had enough ability, it wasn't impossible for a guild to obtain all 14 seals? One had to know that the strong preyed on the weak in the game. Putting these two conditions together basically meant that Yu Huiqing's management rights were directly given to the Blood Alliance and sword pointing at the heavens. Although there were a few districts out of the 7 districts that didn't have much profit with the way major guilds ate, they definitely wouldn't leave the soup for others. As for the so-called fairness, it was completely a matter of what should be established. Unfair? No one dares to say that it's unfair in front of me. The city lord stared at the few small guild leaders and said, "If you think it's unfair, then I'll follow the original rules. You guilds will fight each other, and the one who survives will be my assistant. How about that?" Hearing the city lord say this, the few small guild leaders were instantly dumbfounded. If they found the seals, at least the small guilds had a chance of obtaining management right. As for fighting each other, let's just wash up and sleep. After all, normally speaking, the stronger the management guild was, the stronger the main city would be. The fact that the city lord Yu Huiqing was giving these small guilds a chance to participate was already very fair. Humph. Seeing that the few guild leaders didn't dare to object, the city lord coldly said, "Go, I'll wait for your good news. Then we'll take our leave." Hearing this, everyone left. As soon as they left the city lord's mansion, Blood Red War Flag excitedly opened the guild channel and was about to blow the whistle to call for people. In terms of the number of players, Blood Red War Flag had the most. At this time, Wuji said to Blood Red War Flag, "Old Flag, we're not police dogs. We're not good at finding things. You have so many people, you don't need our help." Finding things didn't have much to do with a player's strength. Blood Red War Flag knew this. Hearing Wuji's question, Blood Red War Flag was happy. Okay. If you're busy, you can leave first. I'll get the accountant to send you the commission. Wuji said, "That's not necessary. Chuanjin has always been reasonable. Since we helped you pass 2 of the 3 quests, we only need 2/3 of the commission." Blood Red War Flag was about to be polite again. "Okay, that's it." Wuji didn't want to talk nonsense with Blood Red War Flag. He didn't even look back as he pulled Wang Yu in another direction. "You can't be an imposter, right?" After the two of them turned into a small alley, Wang Yu lifted Wuji up with one hand and pinched Wuji's face to test whether or not he was using a disguise. Wuji had always been the type to take advantage of others. Why did he suddenly change his personality? Stop it! Wuji struggled and shouted, "What do you know? There's a loophole in this quest." "Loophole?" Wang Yu heard this and put Wuji down. "What loophole?" Wuji laughed coldly. "Look carefully at the first sentence of the quest's background." When Wang Yu heard this, he looked at the quest again. As expected, Wang Yu saw the problem at a glance. The first sentence of the quest's background was, "Yu Huiqing belongs to all the people of Yu Huiqing. Every guild of Yu Huiqing has the right to manage Yu Huiqing." Rebirth was a very strict game. Since the quest's background said this sentence must be a breakthrough. In other words, guilds that didn't pass the trial could also use these seals. This is too unfair to the guilds that passed the trial. After realizing this, Wang Yu couldn't help but sigh. These large guilds had first massacred Ertis, then fought the undead army for 300 rounds, running back and forth all over the city, and had only passed 2 trials after exhausting themselves. Who would have thought that everyone would participate in the 3rd trial? Weren't they toying with them? Wuji said, "There's nothing unfair about it. Small guilds like us don't even have the chance to participate in the 1st and 2nd trials. Is this fair? Besides, it's not like there aren't any rewards for the first 2 trials." Wang Yu couldn't refute Wuji's fallacious reasoning, because he knew that Wuji's fallacious reasoning paled in comparison to the shameless system. Although that's the case, how can we find other guilds with just a few people? Wang Yu pondered and asked. Chapter 9:14. Finding things didn't have much to do with a player's strength. What was important was the number of players. Even if Quan Zhen's sect added up all of them, they would only have a dozen or so people. They wouldn't even have enough people to clear a large dungeon. Let alone competing with a large guild alliance like Blood Alliance and Sword Finger Heavenly. Any random guild would have as many people as Quan Zhen's sect. After all, with Xuanzhen's personality, there weren't many people who could get along with them. They were basically homeless people. Finding the seal with a dozen or so people was like finding a needle in a haystack. Wuji chuckled, hee hee. If we don't know where the seal is, we will have to rely on numbers. If we can confirm the seal's location, then the 2 of us will be able to find it easily. You know where the seal is? Wang Yu asked in surprise. Wuji nodded. I don't dare to say anything else, but I can confirm the location of 2 seals. Which 2? Wang Yu asked. Which one is the most important? Central Administrative District. Wang Yu's eyes lit up. This was Blood Red War Flag's goal from the start. Yes, Wuji said, it's the Central Administrative District. Don't think that it's just one city. This city controls 6 other cities. It's the most important part of Yu Huiqing. Then where is the Administrative District seal? Wang Yu rubbed his chin and thought. Wuji laughed. Of course it's the most dangerous and safest place. Could it be the city lord's mansion? Hearing Wuji say this, Wang Yu immediately reacted. Such an important seal, the city lord wouldn't just randomly place it. He would definitely place it somewhere close to him. Although the city lord's mansion wasn't big and the search target was small, no guild would dare to search the city lord's home in front of him. Then let's go. As he said this, Wang Yu turned around to leave. Wuji pulled Wang Yu aside and shook his head. Don't worry, let's wait until the others leave. In order to blacklist these 2 seals, Wuji had automatically withdrawn from the Blood Red War Flag's mission. Although everyone's remuneration had been paid according to the rules, it would be a little unkind to go over now. Furthermore, Blood Red War Flag was no fool. Seeing that Wang Yu were going to the city lord's mansion, they would definitely follow. After all, Blood Red War Flag was a friend. Wang Yu couldn't possibly kill them, right? If Blood Red War Flag discovered their intentions, Blood Red Alliance's search ability was much stronger than Xuanzhen's. Of course, at this time, everyone was in a hurry to find the seal. Basically, no one stayed in the Castellan's mansion for too long. After a while, all the players who lingered in front of the Castellan's mansion left. At this time, Wang Yu and Wuji quietly walked out of the alley and headed for the Castellan's mansion. However, at this time, 3 familiar figures came out from the other side and tiptoed into the Castellan's mansion. It's Yi Yeshu and the others. Seeing the 3 figures, Wang Yu said in surprise, how did they find out? You don't understand, Wuji said. Wuji said, everyone can think of this problem, but the things that male players worry about, female players don't have to worry about. They're all players, so why is there such a big difference in personality? Wang Yu was a bit curious. Of course. Wuji pulled out a shiny trash ring and said, do you want 500 gold? Wang Yu curled his lips. I don't even want 500 copper. If it's a female player, then someone will want it. Wuji casually put the ring back into his bag. As they spoke, the 2 entered the Castellan's mansion. Outside the main hall, the two saw Yi Yeshu and the others rummaging through the chests and cabinet. The guards of the castellan's mansion stood on either side of the hall. They didn't care what the three girls were doing, but they stood there like idiots. Wuji looked at the messy hall, then at the stupid guards on either side. He said to Wang Yu, "Let's go. It's definitely not here." "Why?" Wang Yu was confused. The castellan had just said that the seal was in the castellan's mansion. Why did he change his mind so quickly? Wuji pointed at Yi Yeshu and the others and said, "Those three girls almost tore the house apart, but the guards ignored them. It's definitely not here." "Then where is it?" After looking around, he discovered that the castellan was quite honest. The castellan's mansion only had a small courtyard. There wasn't even a place to hide things. Wuji raised his head and pointed at the backyard behind the castellan's mansion. He said, "It should be in the backyard." "Backyard?" Wang Yu looked around at the guards and said, "Do you want to die?" The backyard wasn't the castellan's mansion's hall. It was the castellan's private property. Trespassing would result in death. There were so many guards in the castellan's mansion. Wang Yu couldn't even protect himself, let alone Wuji. Wuji said, "Since it's a mission, the rules must have been changed. Otherwise, those three girls would have been dragged out by the guards." As he said this, Wuji and Wang Yu passed through the front yard and arrived at the backyard of the castellan's mansion. As soon as the two stepped into the backyard, two guards immediately came to greet them. Because Wang Yu's Huiqing honor points were especially high, the two guards were very polite when they saw Wang Yu. "Lord Protector, what brings you here?" Just for a stroll." Wang Yu then made up a lie. Although she was extremely unwilling, she couldn't tell the guards that she was here to steal something in this situation. "You can." The guard paused and pointed at Wuji. "But he can't." "Why?" "Only women are allowed to enter the backyard." The guard said. "Damn, what kind of rule is this? Is it sexist?" Could it be that the castellan is afraid of being cuckolded? Wuji was depressed. This was the first time this girl suffered a disadvantage because of her gender. Whoosh! Before Wuji finished speaking, the two guards pointed their spears at Wuji's throat and said in unison, "Scram." Wuji shrunk his neck and hurriedly took a few steps back. "Huh? Big brother Wuji? Big brother Iron Ox?" At this time, Yi Yishu and the other two walked out of the hall resentfully. When they saw Wang Yu and Wuji, they happily walked towards the backyard. "Hi. Hello." Seeing Yi Yishu and the other two walking over, Wuji suddenly panicked. Wuji didn't have the authority to enter the backyard, but these three girls could. If the girls went to the backyard, it was hard to say who would get the seal. After all, Wang Yu wasn't very good at finding things. With Wuji's temper, he wouldn't allow others to beat him to it. While replying to the three girls, Wuji sent a message in the guild channel. "Mingdu, quickly bring the flower demon set to the castellan's mansion." "Mingdu. Why don't you go in?" Yi Yishu asked curiously. Wang Yu said, "Other than me, they only allow women to enter." "Oh? I see." The three girls covered their mouths and snickered. "Then we'll go in first." "Old cow, damn you." Wuji was anxious and privately messaged Wang Yu, "Can't you stall them?" "Oh, got it." Wang Yu understood and replied to Wuji. He then shouted to the girls, "Hey, you three, don't go. There will be a good show later." The girls said, "We're busy, we'll talk when we come back." "Don't. Wuji wants to wear women's clothes, don't you want to see it?" Wang Yu shouted again. Chapter 9:15. Just as Wuji said, although men and women were the same, their attitudes were completely different. If a normal straight man heard someone wearing female clothes, he would definitely say it was boring and turn around to leave, but when women heard a man wearing female clothes, he didn't know what the others would do, but the eyes of Yi Yishu and the other two lit up immediately. They turned around resolutely, and their eyes made Wang Yu, who was a fearless martial artist, shudder. F***ck, old cow, you be**tch. Seeing that Wang Yu had sold him out, Wuji's face turned red and he cursed angrily. Wang Yu spread his hands and said, "If I didn't say that, I wouldn't be able to keep them. Women's priorities are different from men's, you know." F***ck, you really know how to apply what you've learned. Of course, this is why I'm a martial arts genius, Wang Yu said shamelessly. F***cku. Wuji gave Wang Yu the middle finger. Wuji was so ashamed that he wanted to find a hole to hide in. Yi Yishu and the other two girls were still making a fuss. Big brother Wuji must look good in female clothes. Not bad, not bad. I have a few here. Do you want to try them? Summer snow and winter flowers started rummaging through their backpack. Wang Yu said confidently, "Wuji has professional outfits. Someone will send them over later." Really? Really? The girls' eyes were sparkling and their hearts were filled with anticipation. "Old dog Wuji, where are you guys?" Just as they were chatting, a voice suddenly came from the entrance of the city lord's mansion. "Go inside." They looked back and saw Mingdu poking his head out as he walked over. Wang Yu quickly responded. At that time, everyone saw two young ladies following behind Mingdu. They were Yang Na and Linglong Meng. When he saw Linglong Meng, this demon, also come, Wuji covered his face in despair. "Why the hell did you bring her here?" Mingdu said with a cheeky smile. "Did you forget that they split the flower demon outfit? Of course, even if they didn't know, I didn't plan on hiding it from them." Ha 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 ha. When Linglong Meng saw Wuji, she couldn't help but laugh out loud before she even said anything. She threw the flower demon set to Wuji and said breathlessly, "Wuji, hurry up and put it on for this old lady to see." Although Yang Na didn't say anything, the light in her eyes was no different from Yi Yishu and the other two. Wuji's forehead was full of sweat. "I'm not feeling well, and I suddenly don't want to wear it. Since the two of you are here, you can go inside and help old Nyo find something. Old Li and I will wait outside." When Exquisite Dream heard that Wuji wasn't going to wear it, her eyes grew cold and she said fiercely, "Don't talk nonsense. I came here just to watch the show, and you say you're not going to wear it? Old cow, Old Li, hold him down, I'll put it on for him." Good, good, good. Mingdu had been tricked by Wuji last time. Now that he had gotten his revenge, he jumped out excitedly and rolled up his sleeves to grab Wuji. Wang Yu said awkwardly, "Isn't this too cruel?" As soon as Wang Yu finished speaking, the five girls glared daggers at Wang Yu and said in unison, "Why don't you wear it?" "No, no, no." A layer of cold sweat appeared on Wang Yu's forehead and he hurriedly said, "This outfit and Wuji are a match made in heaven." "Old cow, don't go against your conscience," Wuji shouted. Wang Yu said sternly, "I won't go against my conscience. This is justice. Wuji, hurry up and put it on. Don't force me to do it." Fuck. With the bastard Wang Yu here, Wuji knew he couldn't escape. Tears welled up in his eyes as he silently accepted the flower demon set and put it on. The flower demon set stats were quite overpowered. It could forcibly increase a player's appearance and physique. Even an ugly guy like Mingdu would look like a beautiful woman after putting it on, let alone Wuji. Although Wuji was ruthless and evil, he had a good appearance. Normally, Wuji looked like a handsome scholar. Now that he was wearing the flower demon set, he looked amazing. Uncle Nyo, a pure author like him, could not possibly write this kind of womanly feeling with such a curvy chest and a slender waist and long legs. Everyone was dumbfounded. After a while, everyone came to their senses. There was actually a trace of jealousy in the girl's eyes. Mingdu, in particular, stared at Wuji. He stretched out his hand and slapped Wuji's butt. At the same time, he laughed and said, "Fine, Wuji. If I didn't see you put on the clothes, I wouldn't have known it was you. Don't take it off. Go back and let your brothers have fun. Get lost." Wuji slapped Mingdu's hand away and glared at Mingdu. He then looked around and said, "Let's go. We have important matters to attend to. Let's go." After saying that, Wuji quickly walked into the backyard. Ha ha. Everyone laughed. Wang Yu and the girls followed Wuji into the backyard. Mingdu wanted to continue taking advantage of Wuji, so he followed and tried to sneak in. However, he was mercilessly thrown out by the guards. The layout of the backyard was similar to the front yard. The only difference was that the backyard was filled with all sorts of plant. It was green and full of life. There was a beautiful middle-aged woman sitting at a stone table in the yard, daydreaming. Wang Yu casually cast a detection spell, and the woman's attributes appeared. Depressed Arya, Madam of the City Lord. Background introduction. Yu Huiqing City Lord Count Willie's wife. She seems to have something on her mind. There were no attributes and only an introduction. It seemed like she was just a background NPC. Background NPCs were the same as the residents of Yu Huiqing. They were created to cater to the game's setting and were usually useless. After everyone saw Arya's status, they instinctively ignored her and continued to walk forward. At this moment, Arya suddenly asked in a low voice, "Who are you? Why are you in my yard?" An intelligent NPC at that? Everyone was shocked when they heard Arya's words. They quickly turned around to look at her. It was common knowledge in the game that an NPC who spoke to a player was either given a quest or was an intelligent NPC. Now they were trespassing. If it was the former, not only would they not be investigated, they might even be given a quest. If it was the latter, it would be over. Not only would the city lord be alerted, but the shamelessness of the system would also make it impossible for everyone to not be scammed. Therefore, Arya's actions stunned everyone. They didn't know what to do. "Of course we're here for something." Just when everyone was at a loss as to what to do, Wuji smiled and welcomed them. Arya looked at Wuji and was stunned. Then, she frowned and said, "Humph. This is private property. What you're doing is very rude. I'll get the guards to chase you out." With that, Arya was about to call for the guards when Wang Yu suddenly rushed out from the side. He covered Arya's mouth with his left hand and grabbed her neck with his right. Chapter 9:16. Who would have thought that AI Leah wasn't afraid of Wang Yu? Instead, she pushed Wang Yu's hand to the side. "You won't dare to kill me," Arya said calmly as she looked at Wang Yu. Wang Yu could not help but let go of Arya's neck. That's right. Although Wang Yu could kill Arya easily, Wang Yu was only saying it. He did not dare to take action. NPCs were different from players. NPCs like Arya were commonly referred to as civilians. They could not be resurrected after death. Wang Yu dared to kill players because he had enough honor points, which allowed him to do as he pleased in Wuji. However, if he attacked civilians, Wang Yu's honor points would be useless. This was because players and NPCs were two different species. It was just like how robots in the real world could be exempted from punishment as long as they contributed enough. However, if a robot attacked a human, it had to be destroyed. As for how serious the consequences of killing civilians were, Wang Yu did not know. However, the last person who dared to do so was already wanted by all the NPCs in 300 main cities. In any case, Wang Yu was the guardian of Afterglow City. No matter how good she was at fighting, she wouldn't dare to take such a risk. After all, it was just a game. No matter how capable she was, she couldn't make it so bad that she couldn't survive in the game. "But you won't dare to shout," Wang Yu said with a smile. Arya was stunned. "Why do you think so?" Wang Yu said, "We're here for a quest." Arya did not say anything. She looked at Wang Yu carefully and pointed at the stone bench behind her. "Sit down and talk." Seeing that Arya really did not dare to shout, the girls were all stunned. Even Wang Yu was surprised. He privately messaged Wuji. "Damn, how do you know she won't shout?" Wuji was the one who asked Wang Yu to say that. Wuji said, "Because she didn't dare to make a sound when we came in. She must be hiding something. You should stall her first." "Alright." Wang Yu closed the chat and sat on the stone bench. Arya looked at Wang Yu expectantly and asked, "Are you a divine blacksmith?" "Not bad." Wang Yu nodded. Wang Yu did indeed have the title of Divine Blacksmith. Although a player's title could not be seen as long as it was not hung on their head, to NPCs, all of a player's titles were transparent. "So you're here because of your teacher, Simba?" Leah asked softly. Her voice was trembling when she mentioned Simba. What does that mean?" Hearing Arya's words, the channel almost exploded. Everyone's gossipy spirit was instantly ignited. This woman seems to have an unusual relationship with the craftsman god Simba. Wang Yu shared some of the things he knew. "Oh my god, I didn't expect to get such an unexpected reward. Old cow, let's see if we can get anything out of her." Everyone clenched their fists in excitement. Wang Yu nodded at Arya, indicating that she did not agree or disagree. Sigh. Arya sighed and said, "It's been so many years, but he's still the same. Please pass this letter to him." Arya sighed as she took out an exquisite letter. Even though Wang Yu had never experienced her school days, as long as a normal person was not stupid, they would be able to tell that this was a love letter. System notification. You have triggered the hidden quest, Arya's worries. Do you accept? Seeing the system notification, Wang Yu finally understood. So it was his divine blacksmith title that had triggered the quest. Alright, I accept. Looking at the system notification, Wang Yu hesitated for a moment. Although he did not want to accept the quest, he still took the letter in his hands. Wasn't it just delivering a letter? It wasn't like he was a pimp. System notification. You have accepted the hidden quest, Arya's worries. Deliver Arya's letter to the old blacksmith Simba of the blacksmith shop. Arya's letter 1/1. There was not even a quest level or description. It seemed like it was really a simple letter delivery quest. However, just as Wang Yu received the letter, the mayor suddenly walked out of his room. "Arya, who are you talking to?" The mayor looked at the group of people standing in the courtyard and asked cautiously. "There aren't many people here. These people are here to apply for the position of a maid," Arya said as she gave Wang Yu a look. Wang Yu quickly stuffed the letter into his bag. "Maid." The mayor walked over suspiciously. His gaze swept across Wang Yu and his expression changed. He asked sternly, "It's you? Why are you here?" With regards to the city lord's attitude, Wang Yu was also quite curious. One must know that when the city lord saw Wang Yu, he would always call him a warrior and would be extremely polite. Why was he acting like this now? Could it be that he already knew that he had been cuckolded? "It's me. I'm just looking around," Wang Yu said with sweat dripping down his forehead. It was not easy to force an honest person to lie. "Humph." The mayor snorted coldly, "There's nothing to look around here. Hurry up and leave." After saying that, the mayor turned his gaze to the girls beside him. "Maid." The mayor looked at the girls and pointed at Wuji. "I think she's not bad. Stay." Wuji coughed up a mouthful of blood. "Why do you want me to stay? You're the prettiest." The mayor's answer was simple and domineering. He did not care about Arya's feelings at all. After saying that, the mayor turned around and returned to his room. Looking at the mayor's domineering figure, the girls felt bitter in their hearts. They did not expect that their appearance would be surpassed by a man. Wuji felt even more bitter in her heart. She was taken in by a man for no reason. What was going on? Wang Yu patted Wuji's shoulder and comforted Wuji. "Don't be afraid. This is a chance to get close to the mayor. You can't let it go." Wuji's face was full of tears. "You know you can't lose a chicken. Why don't you go?" "I'm not as good-looking as you," Wang Yu laughed. "Keep your roots, Wuji." Exquisite Dream and the others also clenched their fists to encourage Wuji. "You bunch of trash." Wuji fiercely pointed his middle finger at everyone. Then he reached out to Wang Yu and said, "Give me the letter." "What do you want the letter for?" Wang Yu mumbled as he took out the letter and gave it to Wuji. Wuji took the letter and walked in front of Arya. "Tell me where the mayor's seal is or I'll give it to him." You. Wuji's sudden betrayal shocked Arya. She angrily pointed at Wuji and Wang Yu and said with a trembling voice, "You will get what you deserve." "Wuji, why are you like this?" Wang Yu couldn't help but ask Wuji. It couldn't be helped. Wang Yu had never done something like this before. Simba was half a teacher to Wang Yu. What he did was indeed unacceptable to Wang Yu. Wuji sternly said, "What do you mean, so what? Her actions are immoral. I'm only doing this to uphold justice. As long as she is willing to tell me where the mayor's seal is, I can turn a blind eye to this matter. You can also continue to help her deliver the letter." For the fastest and most up-to-date novel reading, please visit Chapter 9:17. Wang Yu was about to retort, but after some thought, he realized that Wuji was right. He couldn't let this kind of behavior go. At the thought of this, Wang Yu shrugged his shoulders and stood beside Wuji. His intention was clear. "Don't force me. I'll count to 3. If you don't tell me, I'm going in." Seeing that Wang Yu had silently agreed to his behavior, Wuji was even more confident and was about to walk into the house. Arya was still quite wary of the letter in Wuji's hand. Seeing that Wuji was really going to walk into the house, Arya quickly said, I'll talk. Give me the letter." Wuji sneered. "I don't trust the character of an NPC. You go first." Anyone who had been tricked by an NPC several times would never trust an NPC's character. Sigh. Arya sighed and said helplessly, "The seal is on the table next to the bed. Give me the letter." Wuji laughed and said, "Not yet." Arya was shocked and angry when she heard this. "You dare lie to me?" Wuji retorted. "Who knows what kind of seal you're talking about? Who knows how many secrets there are on the table? Let's talk about it after I get the seal." It wasn't the first time that the system liked to play word games. It might be able to trick other people, but it was obviously not enough to trick an expert like Wuji. Fine. Arya said helplessly. "The manager's seal is in the locked drawer in the middle of the table. This is the key." As she spoke, Arya took out a key from her pocket. "This is the key to the seal?" Just as Wuji was about to take the key, Wang Yu stared at the key suspiciously. Arya looked at Wang Yu and Wuji meaningfully. She took out another key and said, "This is... Aya, the city lord gave you such an important key to keep. The city lord treats you so well. Do you have the heart to treat him like this?" Wuji took the key and asked with a smile. "Humph." Arya ignored Wuji's nonsense and said with hatred, "Can you give me the letter now?" "Ha." Wuji smiled and handed the letter to Wang Yu. "How can that be? Don't we still have a mission to do? We are devoted to one person until the end." Hearing this, Arya trembled and remained silent. After a while, she gritted her teeth and said, "You're ruthless." At the same time, Yi Yeshu and the others were dumbfounded. They had never seen anyone play the game like this. "How is this possible? How did you know she would lie to you?" From Wuji using the quest item to blackmail the NPC, to Arya deceiving everyone, and then to Arya passing off a fake eye as the real one, Yi Yeshu's tricks were thrown out one after another. It was hard to defend against. Even so, Wang Yu and Wuji saw through it in the end. How fast did one have to have such a reaction time? Wang Yu said meaningfully, "This is life experience. What should we do now?" Yi Yeshu asked Wuji. Everyone was exposed, and the city lord had asked them to leave. If they entered the house now, they would definitely be attacked by the city lord. Entering the house now was suicide. Wuji weighed the key in his hand and said, "Old cow, you keep Arya in check. I'll go look for her. The others wait for me outside." Everyone was shocked. "Wuji, are you going to sell your body?" *CK off. Wuji said angrily. "I'm a maid in the city lord's mansion. I'm different from you scum." The Prime Minister's servant was a 7th-rank official. Wuji was acting all high and mighty as a maid. Wuji said as he slipped into the house. The city lord approved of his actions and didn't attack Wuji. It was good to be a woman. Wang Yu and the others stood outside the door, waiting for news of Wuji's success. But after a while, Wuji still didn't move. Exquisite Dream couldn't hold it in anymore. She shouted in the chat, F***ck, Wuji, what are you doing in there? You're not sleeping with the city lord, are you? Wuji quickly replied, F***ck, the city lord isn't sleeping in his bedroom. I've already cleaned the room 3 times, and he's still reading. Everyone was speechless. Then what do we do? Why don't we retreat first and wait for nightfall before you make your move? Does Yu Huiqing have nightfall? Wuji asked. Exquisite Dream. No! Go to hell. Wang Yu also voiced his opinion. I think you should wait until the city lord isn't here before you go in. Don't bullshit. By then, the city lord will already know where the seal is. Wuji said, if there's a chance then make it. If there's no chance then make it. Hurry up and think of a way to lure the city lord out. Lure the city lord out? Wang Yu was stunned. He asked the girls, how do we lure him out? Exquisite Dream casually said, that depends on what he cares about the most. Isn't his wife outside? Everyone turned to look at AI Leah, then turned to look at Wang Yu with encouraging eyes, and finally nodded their heads firmly. Old cow, it's up to you. Me? Killing an NPC is against the law. Wang Yu was not stupid. He naturally would not do it. I didn't ask you to kill her. You can. Exquisite Dream sneered. We'll help you hold her hands and feet. Damn. That's even worse. Wang Yu quickly waved his hand and retreated. At this time, Wang Yu inadvertently glanced at the courtyard. The city lord seemed to feel something was wrong. He put down the book in his hand and asked Wuji, is my room very messy? It's all right. Wuji replied with a smile. The city lord vigilantly said, since it's not very messy, you're going back and forth. Are you trying to do something? No. Wuji said in a panic, I was just attracted by your heroic spirit and I couldn't help myself. Is that so? The city lord smiled and pointed at the bed. Sit there. When Wuji heard this, his heart skipped a beat. He said in fear, no, I'll just stand. All right. The city lord did not mind that Wuji did not want to sit. He said in a serious tone, now you can take off your clothes. Let's be honest with each other. It was obvious that the city lord had already noticed that Wuji was in disguise. However, he did not know who was in disguise. Be honest. However, Wuji's thoughts were clearly led astray by the girls outside. When he heard the city lord's words, he completely panicked. He hurriedly sent a message in the channel. Are you done yet? This son of AB*TCH is trying to do something to me. Unexpectedly, the girls were not in a hurry. Instead, their faces were filled with joy. Really? Really? Wuji wailed, Big sisters, I beg of you, please stop fooling around. Just as Wuji was begging for mercy, a shout came from outside the room. Oh no, there's a fire! Chapter 9:18. As the saying went, kill and set fire. Although Wang Yu was talented in martial arts and could easily kill people, he was still a little rusty when it came to setting fires. He chopped down a few branches in the yard with his knife and had Yi Yeshu set them on fire. Everyone knew that dry wood had fire and wet wood had smoke. Once the fire was lit, the yard seemed to be fogged up. Soon, the yard was filled with smoke. Hearing the shouts of the fire, the mayor could no longer sit still. He threw Wuji to the side and rushed out of the room. Seeing that the mayor had left, Wuji took out his key and opened the drawer that Alia had mentioned. Just as Alia had said, there was only a stone box in the drawer. To prevent the mayor from suddenly attacking, Wuji didn't even look at it. He stuffed the box into his bag and snuck out of the house. Wang Yu didn't set the fire very well, but the smoke hit the target by a fluke. At this time, the yard was completely dark. Wuji could only hear the commotion in the yard. The mayor was shouting, "What's going on? What's going on? Put out the fire." Unfortunately, the guards at the door were too stupid. They didn't know how to do anything other than kill people. Plus, the smoke was so thick that they couldn't see anything. No matter how much the mayor shouted, it was useless. Alia shouted, "Willie, go back into the house. Someone is trying to steal your seal." Damn, this woman. Wuji was shocked. He was glad that he didn't waste time in the room. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Then, Wuji took out his staff and cast the fly spell. Under the cover of the smoke, he flew out of the yard. "Guards, hold everyone back. Don't let a single one of them escape." At the same time, the mayor ordered the guards to lock down the mayor's house. When Wang Yu and the others heard that Wuji had escaped, they wanted to run as well. But when they heard the mayor's order, they immediately stopped. There were so many guards outside. Even Wang Yu wasn't confident that he could escape. Climb the wall. Seeing that he couldn't escape from the front door, Wang Yu ran to the foot of the wall and activated his qigong. Just as he was about to jump out, a system notification popped up that left everyone dumbfounded. System notification: Yu Huiqing has lost the City Lord's seal. The City Lord's mansion has entered a sealed state. No one is allowed to enter or leave without permission. If you leave by force, you will be forced to abandon all items in your bag. Holy **T, Wuji stole the Castellan's seal? After seeing the notification, everyone realized what Wuji had stolen. No wonder the City Lord made such a big commotion. It turned out that he had stolen the wrong thing. Otherwise, according to the trial mission's standards, as long as Wang Yu and the others took the seal, it would be considered a private item, and the City Lord wouldn't have the right to question it. Unlike now, he was like a crab in a jar, stuck in the courtyard and unable to get out. Exquisite Dream and Yang Na were the most unlucky. These two girls had come to watch the commotion, but they ended up being locked up. It seemed that it wasn't easy to be a spectator. Without the girls and Wang Yu adding fuel to the fire, the branches in the courtyard automatically extinguished. The smoke also slowly dissipated, revealing the figures of Wang Yu and the others. The City Lord angrily walked in front of Wang Yu and angrily shouted, "Hand over my seal." Wang Yu shook his head and said, "The seal isn't with me." "Even if it isn't with you, you still have something to do with it." The City Lord coldly snorted and said, "Before the seal is returned, none of you will be able to leave. You're being unreasonable. Who did we offend?" Exquisite Dream asked, unwilling to give up. Exquisite Dream's thoughts were still stuck in the normal mode of online games. It was normal for online players to go to an NPC's house and rummage through it to find something. However, this was Rebirth, a virtual game that highly replicated the rules of the real world. Faced with Exquisite Dream's questioning, the City Lord's reply left everyone speechless. "My house lost something, and you just happened to be in my courtyard. Who did you offend? In short, if you don't hand over the item, none of you will be able to leave." The City Lord's attitude was firm, and it definitely didn't seem like he was joking. Seeing that he was serious, Exquisite Dream was also afraid. After all, being locked up in the game was equivalent to being banned. Thus, Exquisite Dream hurriedly sent a message in the guild channel. "This is bad, Wuji. Quickly return the item." After Wuji flew out of the City Lord's mansion, he didn't dare to stay any longer. He flew all the way to Chuanjin's office before he could finally calm down. Seeing Exquisite Dream's message, Wuji was puzzled. "What's wrong? Didn't the City Lord say? As long as we get the seal, it's fine." As he spoke, Wuji had already opened the box. Inside the box was a huge golden seal. Aren't there two?" Wuji rubbed his nose in puzzlement. At this time, Exquisite Dream sent another message. "You took the wrong one. Quickly return, or else he won't let us leave." Took the wrong one. Hearing this, Wuji was stunned. He casually took the seal out of the box. At this time, a line of information appeared in front of him. City Lord Yu Huiqing Seal, unique item. It represents Yu Huiqing's highest administrative authority. The user will become the master of Yu Huiqing. User requirements. Yu Huiqing's reputation must reach 5,000, honor must reach 1,000, and the title of Yu Huiqing's guardian must be obtained. Damn. Seeing the attributes of the seal, even Wuji, who had always been calm and collected, was shocked. His palms were covered in sweat as he gripped the seal. Wuji wasn't sure who could fulfill the first two requirements, but the last requirement was clearly met by Wang Yu. Reputation and honor were things that could be farmed. If Wang Yu could use it, he would obtain a main city. What bullsh *T City Lord Seal. Even the authority of the Central Administrative District would be nothing in front of this seal. Confucius once said, "Don't even think about getting Chuanzhen's things to spit out." Especially since such a precious item had fallen into Wuji's hands. It was even more impossible for Wuji to return it. Wuji said excitedly, "Return it? Do you know what's in the box? It's the City Lord seal. With this thing, the old cow will own all of Yu Huiqing." At the same time, Wuji added a picture of the seal's attribute. Looking at the seal's attributes and user requirements, Wang Yu's eyeballs almost popped out. At this time, Wang Yu's reputation in Yu Huiqing was close to 10,000, and his honor was just over 1,000. In addition to his status as Yu Huiqing's guardian, this thing was simply tailor-made for him. But what gave Wang Yu a headache was that if Wuji didn't return the seal, they wouldn't be able to get out. If they exchanged it back, who knew when they would be able to get their hands on this thing again? Then what do we do? Wuji rolled his eyes and laughed. You can commit suicide and come out after you die. Good idea. Chapter 9:19. Even though Wuji had the Castellan's seal, Wang Yu and his gang were still trapped within the Castellan's mansion. At the same time, Yu Huiqing's other guilds also joined in the search for seals. Yu Huiqing's offline forums were filled with posts offering rewards for finding seals. The huge rewards tempted all the players. All of a sudden, Yu Huiqing's accounts, experts, and newbies all joined in to try their luck. After all, even if seals were useless to an individual, selling them for money would be enough for one to live a luxurious life for a long time. With such a big guild doing this, Yu Huiqing's NPC citizens were in trouble. Yu Huiqing's hundreds of thousands of players were like locusts, leaving nothing behind. It was true that the players didn't dare to harm the NPC citizens. These NPC citizens were all powerless and helpless against these fierce players. They could only watch as their homes were wiped out by the players. Yu Huiqing was only a little old. With hundreds of thousands of players searching at the same time, the efficiency was quite high. Not long after, the first seal was found in the smallest refugee district, the house of the leader of the refugees. A few seconds later, they found the second refugee district management seal at the same place. The house of the leader of the refugee district wasn't like the Castellan's mansion. Not only was there no guards, but the leader of the refugee district was also the leader of the slums. His strength was very average. The players snatched the seal and ran. The leader of the refugee district chased after them for a few steps before giving up. Even though the refugee area was poor, rotten, and did not have much to gain from it, it was still a zone's authority. The various large guilds bid for these two seals with all sorts of prices. In the end, the two seals were bought by Finger Heavens for the high price of 100,000 gold coins. That lucky guy became a beacon in the hearts of Yu Huiqing's players. Everyone once again went into a frenzied search. Shortly after, the two seals of the development district were found. Although the development district was a new district and wasn't rich, its economy wasn't completely covered by NPC shop. It was the district with the most profit. After a round of bidding, it was bought by Blood Alliance for a high price of 150,000. It was worth mentioning that the seal of the development zone was found on the owner of the bank. The appearance of these seals made the players realize that something as important as a seal would definitely not be in a commoner's home. The owner must be either rich or noble. With this in mind, everyone turned their attention to the houses of Yu Huiqing's officials and merchants. There were only a few rich and powerful NPCs in a main city. This discovery greatly narrowed down the players' search area, and one seal after another was discovered by the players. Of course, the NPCs that held the seals weren't pushovers. After a series of intense battles and fights between players, the seals of the other 4 city districts fell into the hands of players. In the end, just as everyone expected, Yu Huiqing's management rights were split between Blood Alliance and Sword in the Heavens. The seals of the West and North districts were obtained by Blood Alliance, the seal of the East district was obtained by Sword in the Heavens, and the seal of the South district was obtained by 2 smaller guilds. Under the threat of Don't Shoot, the 2 smaller guilds had no choice but to hand the seals over to Sword in the Heavens. Although the 2 guilds obtained the management rights of the 3 districts, the seal of the Central District that Blood Red War Flag and Don't Shoot were most concerned about did not appear. The locations of the 6 city district seals were already very clear. Even an idiot would be able to guess that the last 2 seals were definitely hidden in the city lord's residence. With this thought, the 2 guild leaders quickly led their guilds to the entrance of the city lord's residence. However, when they arrived at the entrance, they discovered that the city lord's residence had already been locked down by the guards, not allowing outsiders to enter. Blood Alliance and Sword in the Heavens had just stolen so many seals from the NPCs, and their momentum was like a hot knife through butter. They thought that the guards of the city lord's residence weren't much different from the NPCs from before. Seeing so many of them being stopped by a mere 2 guards, they were naturally infuriated. Science had proven that when people were satisfied, they would do some unimaginable things. Blood Red War Flag and Don't Shoot were no exception. The 2 of them were afraid that the other party would snatch the most important seals, so they rushed forward with their people to challenge the authority of the system. As for the result, it was obvious. The 2 guards didn't even move. In just a few moves, they made these arrogant players use their lives to prove what absolute power was. Within the city lord's residence, Wang Yu and the others weren't feeling much better than Blood Red War Flag. Damn, this city lord was really cunning. He actually had such intelligence. Everyone's faces turned red when they heard this, and they all gave up on their stupid suicidal actions. Exquisite Dream looked at Wang Yu and then at Yang Na. Forget it, let's just let Wuji take the seal back. Chuanzhen's people were all rich. Not to mention others, just the value of the equipment on Wang Yu and the items in his bag was not much lower than the city lord's seal. For a seal, it really wasn't worth it. No need. Wang Yu took off his clothes and said, "You guys take my equipment and items, I'll kill myself and get out." "You still want to kill yourself?" Yang Na was shocked. "Even if you give us everything, we still can't get out." Wang Yu laughed, "Hee, after I get out, I'll be the city lord. At that time, I'll come back to save you guys." The girls were stunned when they heard this, and their eyes could not help but light up. Exquisite Dream patted Wang Yu's shoulder and sighed, "You really are King genius." However, at this moment, the city lord next to her sneered, "Kid, your brain works pretty fast, but it's useless. It's not that easy to become a city lord." "You mean that even if I get out, I can't become a city lord?" Wang Yu was secretly shocked. This King setting was really linked. "Of course. Why?" Wang Yu asked again. Currently, Wang Yu's reputation and honor points had met the requirement. As for the conditions for the city lord's approval, could there be some hidden attribute? The city lord slowly said, "In Yu Huiqing, the city lord represents absolute power. This power is different from other items. Even if you meet all the conditions, you must be handed over by me personally." "What do you mean?" Wang Yu was a little confused by the city lord's words. "It's very simple. Only when you meet the conditions for my approval and I personally hand over the seal to you can you become the city lord, the city lord said with a smile. This time Wang Yu finally understood. The old fox's meaning was very clear. If he did not personally hand over the seal, even if the player obtained it, it would be useless. This setting was too despicable. How is it? Can I return the seal? The city lord looked at Wang Yu and asked. Chapter 920. What? The city lord was stunned by Wang Yu's question. He had never seen such a request before. Can you not have that seal? Wang Yu asked the city lord. The city lord nodded and, if there is no seal, Yu Huiqing will fall into a state of no city lord. If there is no new city lord in a week, it will be attacked by other main cities. At that time, not only me and the people of the city, you will also not be able to escape. Just right. Wang Yu said, you can give me a mission to find the seal. I will find it for you. Humph. The city lord sneered. Do you think I am stupid? What if you don't come back? That's easy. Wang Yu continued. Do I have to pass your trial before I can gain your recognition? The city lord said, not bad. Then give me another trial mission. I will go find the seal after I pass your trial. Wang Yu said. Is there any difference? The city lord asked with narrowed eyes. No matter how many missions he took, once Wang Yu left the city lord's mansion, he could run wherever he wanted. There is. Wang Yu said, if I pass the trial, the city lord's seal is mine. Of course, I have to come back and ask you to give me the authorization. Do you think I will run? Well, so you were waiting for me here. I didn't think you would have this idea. Listening to Wang Yu's words, the city lord understood Wang Yu's intention. It turned out that this kid wanted to gain something without risking anything. After the girls reacted, they instantly looked at Wang Yu in a new light. In fact, Wang Yu was usually very smart, but his strong strength covered up his other points. Just like these girls, they had all seen how powerful Wang Yu was. Everyone thought that Wang Yu was just a violent maniac with a brain full of muscles. Who knew that Wang Yu had such a treacherous side? It had to be known that the city lord's trial mission was not something that could be accepted just because one wanted to. Wang Yu was clearly in a difficult situation, yet he was still able to turn around and ask the city lord for a mission. This kind of behavior was something that most people would not even dare to think about. The city lord was not angered by Wang Yu's unreasonable request. Instead, he narrowed his eyes and said, Do you think the city lord trial is easy? Wang Yu smiled and said, If I can't pass the trial, I'll have my friend find a seal and then send it over. What if I don't agree? The city lord sneered. Wang Yu said, It doesn't matter. There will be people attacking the city in 7 days. We players will at most lose levels, but we'll be able to train back quickly. You NPCs won't revive, right? Are you threatening me? The city lord said unhappily. No, I'm thinking about the people of the city. Wang Yu smiled. Ah, interesting. The city lord laughed and said, You have brains and ability. Moreover, all of your other attributes meet the city lord's requirements. It seems that in all of Yu Huiqing, there is no one more suitable than you to accept this trial mission. You flatter me, Wang Yu said modestly. That's the truth. The city lord said, but you have to think carefully. My term of office still has 2 years left. This isn't a quest that current players can accept. If you fail this time, you won't have another chance. For the people of the city, I'm willing to give it a try. Wang Yu said shamelessly. The city lord laughed heartily and said, Haha, since you want me to retire early, I'm happy to be idle. The trial mission is very simple. You just have to defeat me. System notification. You have accepted the ultimate trial mission, the young city lord. Mission level S. Mission background. City Lord Willie wants to retire early. The new owner of Yu Huiqing must be a dragon among men. Only a person with both wisdom and courage can obtain the approval of the old city lord. Mission objective: defeat Shocking the West's rushing thunderhand, Willie 0 out of 1 inch. Oh. So it's this simple. Only then did Wang Yu realize that what the city lord meant by simple was the antonym of complicated, and not the antonym of difficult. Shocking the West's rushing thunderhand, Willie. Don't say anything else. Just this name was enough to make people fearful. This was the title format of an epic boss. To be able to sit in the city lord's position, it was very clear that he was also an epic boss. The city lord's strength was who knew how many times higher than Ertis. How is it? Are you afraid? The city lord looked at Wang Yu mockingly. Wang Yu laughed and said, "The word afraid isn't in my dictionary. You still owe me a mission." Hearing Wang Yu's words, the city lord couldn't help but look at Wang Yu in a higher light. The city lord's trial mission was a mission that only opened after the average level of players reached level 80. Don't mention a level 45 smurf, even a level 80 main account would probably panic when they saw this mission. And not only was Wang Yu neither servile nor overbearing, he could still calmly bargain. This calmness wasn't fake. Using the game's terminology, only those great experts who had been in a high position for a long time could have this kind of calm temperament. Of course, they couldn't rule out the possibility that Wang Yu was ignorant and fearless, but with Wang Yu's shameless vigor in asking for a mission, he clearly wasn't that kind of ignorant novice. Mission, no problem. The city lord smiled slightly and issued a mission to Wang Yu. System notification. You have received the quest, the Lost City Lord's Seal. Mission level, none. Mission background. The City Lord's Seal has been lost for unknown reasons. I hope you can help find it. Mission objective. Find the City Lord's Seal 0 of 1. Mission reward. Central Administrative Region Management Seal, Main. Central Administrative Region Management Seal, Vice. This reward, is it for me? Wang Yu was stunned when he saw that the quest reward was 2 Central Administrative Region Management Seals. As an intelligent NPC, the City Lord's intelligence was no lower than a player's. Although Wang Yu said that he didn't take the seals, the City Lord might have known who took them. And now, the quest reward was actually 2 of Yu Huiqing's most important seals. What was the difference between this and helping him cheat? Wang Yu was moved. He didn't think that other than Old Hermit, there was another NPC that could help him cheat. What are you talking about? The city lord waved his hand and said angrily, "Brat, you really think I'm a pushover? But if you really can pass the trial, these 2 seals will be a greeting gift." Hearing the city lord say this, Wang Yu remembered that if he wanted to obtain these 2 seals, he would have to defeat the city lord. The city lord wasn't someone who was easy to deal with. Thinking of this, Wang Yu threw a detect technique at the city lord. Thunder hand that shakes the west, Willie, City Lord Yu Huiqing. Dark Gold Boss, Epic HP, MP, Skills, Fist Technique Proficiency, Qigong Proficiency Talent, Thunder Rush. Chapter 921. If a monster's level exceeded the player's, it wouldn't even display its name. Looking at the City Master's attributes, the City Master's level actually didn't exceed Wang Yu's by much. In the game's background, the peak of a human's profession was only level 100. The City Master hadn't even broken through the peak of his profession, so he definitely couldn't exceed level 100. From the looks of it, he should be around level 80. For a level 45 player, a normal boss that was 35 levels higher than them was an overwhelming existence, not to mention an epic boss like the City Master. Even in Wang Yu's heart, he didn't have much of a chance of winning. Because of the level suppression, it wasn't something an ordinary person could withstand. If it wasn't a great expert like Wang Yu who had free mode, an ordinary person wouldn't even be able to break the boss's defense. Because of this, Wang Yu instinctively believed that even if it was such a powerful opponent, as long as he could break the defense, he would at least have the strength to fight. But every strong person had a heart that dared to challenge. No matter how powerful the opponent was, as long as they met, they couldn't retreat. Once they had a heart of fear, it was very likely that they would stop here. This kind of expert like Wang Yu was even more so. If there was a chance of winning, he would try. This was also the reason why Wang Yu and Xuanzhen's group of gamblers could mix together, because they were essentially the same kind of people. How is it? Are you ready? The city master could be considered a relatively moral NPC. If it was the old man hermit, perhaps at this time, he would have already pounced on Wang Yu and beat him up. Why would he ask if he was ready or not? Yes. Wang Yu took a step back, nodded his head and said, "I'm ready. Come on." The city master beckoned at Wang Yu. Wang Yu didn't hold back. His body's center of gravity slightly lowered, both feet fiercely stomped the ground, and a collapsing fist smashed towards the city master's chest. The city master's title was Rushing Thunderhand. As the name implied, his agility attribute wasn't low. Seeing Wang Yu's fist coming, his right fist extended forward, striking towards Wang Yu's head first. Don't look at how tall Wang Yu was. That was in reality for ordinary people. In this world where height could be adjusted, Wang Yu's 186 physique was actually only considered average among players. Compared to NPCs, it was even paled in comparison. The city master was extremely tall and sturdy, taller than Wang Yu by half a head, with long arms and legs. While Wang Yu's collapsing fist was still a dozen centimeters away from the city master's chest, the city master's fist had already reached the side of Wang Yu's head. Fortunately, Wang Yu's reaction was extremely fast. Seeing that his head was about to receive a hard punch, he decisively cancelled his skill, and thus avoided the city master's iron fist. Just as Wang Yu landed on the ground, the city master extended his long leg and kicked towards his chest. This time, Wang Yu didn't have time to dodge, and was kicked in the chest by the city master. Wang Yu was like a ball, kicked out more than 10 meters by the city master. 4379 Taking a hard kick from the city master, Wang Yu's health plummeted by 1/5. Fortunately, at the critical moment, Wang Yu used both hands to protect his chest, and at the same time jumped back to offset a lot of the force. Otherwise, with the city master's attack power, Wang Yu's protective cover would have been broken. Seeing that his punch didn't instantly kill Wang Yu, the city master unexpectedly said, "Humph, good kid, you still have some skill." After saying that, the city master rushed forward, and returned a collapsing fist to Wang Yu. The principle of bare-handed combat was the same as armed combat. Under the same conditions, whoever had greater strength and longer arms had the advantage. Not only did the city master have long arms and legs, but his attack range was also greater than Wang Yu's. Moreover, he also had the attack power to instantly kill Wang Yu. In this kind of situation, even if Wang Yu was proficient in 100 different skills, he still wouldn't dare to take the attack head-on. No matter how good one's skills were, it was already amazing to be able to block an attack that was several times his own strength. If he tried to block an artillery shell, wouldn't he be looking for death? Wang Yu knew how powerful the city master was, so he hurriedly ducked and dodged the city master's fist. He pounced forward and rolled behind the city master. At the same time, he extended his right leg and kicked the city master's ankle. As a level 80 epic-ranked boss, the city master's agility was far beyond Wang Yu's imagination. Seeing Wang Yu roll behind him, he was already prepared. Before Wang Yu's kick could reach the city master had already lifted his leg, turned around and kicked at him. Wang Yu was shocked, and could only hurriedly withdraw his leg and roll again. When he stood up, the city master had already turned around, swung his fists, and steadied himself. What a troublesome guy! Looking at Wang Yu opposite him, the city master couldn't help but sigh. As an epic-ranked boss, the city master's IQ wasn't comparable to those stupid bosses who only knew how to use skills. Even though it was only 2 rounds of fighting, the battle skills and reaction speed that Wang Yu had displayed made the city master's heart palpitate. Wang Yu's attack method was like the sea, all-pervasive. As long as there was the slightest opportunity, he would take advantage of it. The city master knew very well that when fighting against an opponent like this, he couldn't show the slightest opening. If that kick just now wasn't a normal attack, but a back kick skill that swayed forward and backward for a longer period of time, he might have already been tangled up by Wang Yu. After all, the city master was a level 80 super boss. At this time, facing an opponent that was almost half his level lower than him, he didn't even dare to use his skills. It was enough to show how difficult it was to deal with Wang Yu. I knew there's no such thing as a free lunch. A high-level epic-ranked boss is really hard to deal with. At the same time, Wang Yu had already evaluated the city master. They were both grandmasters of combat, but the city master suppressed Wang Yu in every aspect except technique. The city master's every punch, in particular, posed a fatal threat to Wang Yu. Hence, Wang Yu's technique, the only attribute that surpassed the city master's, was useless in this situation. The level suppression was simply too severe. If Wang Yu was also level 80, even if Wang Yu was only level 60, he wouldn't be suppressed by the city master like this. In the blink of an eye, the two clashed once more. More accurately, it was Wang Yu who took the beating. Under the city master's lightning-fast attacks, Wang Yu found it difficult to parry. He could only dodge. Occasionally, he retaliated, but his attacks were not accurate. His skill completion rate was so low that he couldn't even break through the city master's defense. Since Wang Yu's debut, he had killed countless bosses. This was the first time he had been suppressed so miserably. Exquisite Dream and the others, who were watching the battle from the sidelines, grew anxious when they saw Wang Yu unable to retaliate against the city master's attack. Seeing that the city master had forced Wang Yu into a corner, Exquisite Dream's temper flared up again. Ignoring Yang Na's attempts to stop her, she raised her crossbow and fired at the city master. Pa! With a soft sound, Ling Long Meng's crossbow bolt hit the back of the city lord's head, interrupting his attack on Wang Yu. Wang Yu took the opportunity to roll twice, quickly escaping the city master's control. At the same time, he quickly retreated, increasing the distance between him and the city master. The city master slowly turned around, plucking the crossbow bolt from the back of his head and tossing it to the side. He stared at Exquisite Dream and said, "This is a solo trial. If you insist on joining, I will double the difficulty of the quest. P.S. Everyone says Happy Father's Day. As a father, I really want to stop updating today. For the fastest and error-free novel reading, please visit Chapter 922. Ah, I didn't do it on purpose." Exquisite Dream quickly put away her crossbow and pretended to be innocent. The city lord ignored Ling Long Meng and coldly snorted at Wang Yu. "You should know that since this is your trial mission, it's best not to let others help you. Seeing that your level is too low, I will let bygones be bygones. Don't do it again." Wang Yu rubbed his chin thoughtfully and said, "Got it." As he spoke, the city lord charged forward once again and tangled with Wang Yu. This time, Wang Yu had learned his lesson. He knew that his strength was far inferior to the mayor's. This time, he simply gave up on attacking and focused on dodging. This way, Wang Yu, who had the support of Qinggong, was able to deal with the situation with ease. Seeing that the situation had returned to the same state as before, Exquisite Dream angrily complained in the chat, "Damn it, this boss is so shameless. There's such a huge level difference. How can a single person defeat him?" Yes, one person really can't beat him. Wang Yu, who was running around the courtyard with the mayor using Qinggong, agreed with Exquisite Dream's words. After being chased by the mayor for so long, Wang Yu had a general understanding of the mayor's strength. He knew that his chances of winning against the mayor in a head-on fight were almost negligible. Then what should we do? Should we get Wuji to send the seal back? Exquisite Dream suggested. She didn't want to lose her game just because of a seal. No need. Wang Yu slightly sidestepped to dodge the mayor's fist and replied, "Although I can't beat him alone, it's not difficult to defeat him." "What do you have in mind?" Yang Na asked in confusion. Wang Yu chuckled and ducked under the mayor's armpit, then said, "As long as you guys help, I have a way to defeat him." "Damn. Didn't he say that we can't help?" Exquisite Dream frowned. Wang Yu was already unable to defeat a city lord of this difficulty. If the difficulty doubled, even if everyone attacked together, it would be futile. He said that you guys can't help him fight, but he didn't say that you guys can't do anything else. Wang Yu jumped up, stepped on the wall, and said. Yi Yeshu asked in confusion, "Then what are we going to do?" "Same as before, set it on fire. You must put them all over the courtyard," Wang Yu said. Is this okay?" Everyone had no idea what Wang Yu wanted to do. Could it be that he wanted to burn down the city lord's mansion? Wang Yu looked at the Qinggong value and said, "I don't have time to explain it to you. Hurry up, you'll know soon enough." Alright. Although they did not know what Wang Yu meant, the girls still nodded blankly. Yang Na was the most agile. She stayed in the middle of the courtyard. The other 4 girls each took a corner and set fire to it. The flammable objects in the courtyard were still the damp branches, and the thick smoke that had just dissipated not long ago filled the air again. "You bastards!" Seeing that the backyard had been set on fire again, the city lord flew into a rage and shouted at the girls without a care for his manners. Wang Yu took advantage of the fact that the city lord was distracted and scolded him on the street to sneak up on him and punch him in the ribs. 21441 inch Aya. The city lord was hit by Wang Yu and was about to retaliate, but Wang Yu had already flashed 5 meters away. Despicable, despicable. The city lord looked at the girls lighting the fire, then looked at Wang Yu, who was waiting for an opportunity, and shouted angrily. However, there was nothing he could do. The girls were only lighting the fire and did not attack anyone, so they were not Wang Yu's helpers. The city lord had no reason to increase the difficulty. Moreover, the city lord could not do anything about the girls lighting the fire. If the city lord was distracted, Wang Yu would immediately attack him. This was more of a headache than setting a fire. Both sides were troublesome, and the city lord could only deal with them one by one. Currently, the most important thing was, of course, Wang Yu, who was in the middle of a trial mission. Gritting his teeth, the city lord simply ignored the girls and focused on chasing Wang Yu. Wang Yu seemed to have known this would happen, and once again ran circles with the city lord. As Wang Yu's agility skills decreased, the entire courtyard was completely covered in smoke. A strange smile appeared on Wang Yu's face. "Continue, don't stop." Wang Yu sent a message to the girls. "Damn, old cow, don't tell me you want us to suffocate him to death with smoke." Looking at the thick smoke in the courtyard, Exquisite Dream could not help but sigh at Wang Yu's viciousness. Wang Yu said, "What do you know? He can't see me now." Exquisite Dream's head was filled with black question marks. Yang Na and Yi Yishu reacted. "You want to use the smoke to deal with him? Smart." A proud smile appeared on Wang Yu's face. The reason why Wang Yu was being chased by the city lord was because the city lord's attributes suppressed Wang Yu's, so Wang Yu's most advantageous skills couldn't be used. However, although all of Wang Yu's skills were suppressed, there was one thing that the system didn't think about, and that was perception. As everyone knew, ordinary people usually relied on their eyes to find the opponent's attack trajectory and respond accordingly. However, martial artists like Wang Yu, who were skilled in martial arts, did not rely too much on their 5 senses. They mainly relied on their perception, which was to judge the opponent's attack based on the opponent's aura. In short, it was very unreal. Everyone was an ordinary person, so even if Uncle Nyo explained it to them, they would not understand. Game designers were also ordinary people, and the programs they designed naturally only had the same 5 senses as ordinary people. Therefore, the City Lord and Wang Yu also relied on their eyes when they fought. This could be seen from the fact that Linglong Meng easily launched a sneak attack on the City Lord. Now, the courtyard was filled with thick smoke, and one couldn't even see their fingers in front of them. In such an environment, Wang Yu could clearly distinguish the City Lord's actions through his breath, and because the City Lord's vision was obstructed, he went from being active to being passive, and all of his attribute advantages were greatly reduced. Now, Wang Yu was like an assassin in stealth, and the City Lord couldn't see through him. The enemy was in the light while he was in the dark, so his advantage was obvious. As the saying went, the right time, the right place, and the right people. Just this environmental factor had tilted the scales of victory to Wang Yu's side. Just as Wang Yu expected, the City Lord was completely lost in the thick smoke. When Wang Yu reached the City Lord, the guy was running around anxiously because he couldn't see Wang Yu. "Hi, I'm here." Sensing the direction of the Castellan, Wang Yu purposely alerted the Castellan and greeted him. Hearing movement beside him, the City Lord didn't say a word and swung his fist. Wang Yu smiled slightly and dodged the City Lord's fist. He took a step forward and cut into the City Lord's arms. His fist went up and landed on the City Lord's chin. 24542 The City Lord was caught off guard and was sent flying into the air by Wang Yu. Wang Yu's fists quickly followed up, continuously hitting the City Lord's ribs and abdomen. A string of damage values floated up, and the health bar above the City Lord's head dropped by a small chunk. Just as the City Lord was about to be sent flying, Wang Yu used his knee to grab the City Lord and pull him into his arms. For the fastest and error-free novel reading, please visit .you're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.